I'm Natalie.
And I'm Hannah. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, we start our recap of the Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend 2025. Spoiler alert, we did both finish the Dopey. We talk about the expo, the 5K, 10K, and half marathon days. But tune in next week to hear all about the marathon and our post-Dopey shenanigans. So lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us.
I know we're like a little rusty because we haven't recorded together in 2 weeks-ish, 15 days. Yeah. So what is a microphone? I don't know. Just kidding. But welcome to post-Dopey bliss.
Well, I am feeling the Dopey bliss, actually. I'm very, very proud of myself. I am not feeling the post-race blues, the Dopey blues, or anything like that. I'm very excited. I am also living my best life in my 1 week off break where I've like no pressure to do anything, living my lazy girl life. And I'm very excited to get back to running though, because I did consider starting back a day early by running yesterday. I did not, but I thought about it.
Yeah. I also don't really have a case of the Dopey downers yet, but I usually don't get it after Dopey after marathon weekend going into Princess because I feel re-energized, reinvigorated for Princess.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's after Princess where it hits. So we'll see. Maybe not this year. I did dust off if I do a spring marathon training plan, I took it up. I dusted that off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not committing to anything yet because, again, it's dependent on how I feel post-Princess because, you know, if I feel like that's a good place to cap there's a whole lot of question marks right now, actually. There's more than just that. So I'm just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just thinking about it.
I'm feeling good that like post-Princess, I'm going to be okay because a little like Easter egg, I guess, is that our coach may or may not have a new program coming out post Princess. So I feel like that's something new that I can look forward to like jump into something else after that running. So it's an Easter egg because hopefully we get to talk to her later about it for you guys. But
yes,
I'm very excited about that.
Yes. Depending on how my spring goes I'm really, really interested in that program. It just depends on if I need to still have a higher volume of running or not, what's going on, how it's also going to work into Chicago too. So it might be something where I have to be an observer this year. I'm really interested in it. I just think that with time and whatnot, and when I do, regardless of a spring marathon, have to start building for Chicago again, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, let's jump into. There's no training updates, as we said, because we're taking our week off. But you are about to hear all about Marathon Weekend, so get ready. Any injuries to report?
Still knocking gently on the wood. No, I'm pretty good. I'm in the point where I definitely could have run this week, but I just didn't. I went on a nice walk with my husband and that felt good. I feel really, really excellent and good, but my blister has popped itself. We had the return of Anastasia.
Okay.
From the marathon, but she popped herself. So she was just and she wasn't really painful. She didn't really get bad, but
Yeah, I think that's as good as transition as any into it's like a sub segment of injuries. I'm calling it the Blister Brigade. So if you saw our Instagram story, I'll also post it on our new Facebook page. Please join us there. It's just the Stride Sisters podcast. And we're going to be shouting you out. So if you get a blister, either in a race weekend, during your training, whatever, and you would like to be a part of the club, part of the blister brigade, you can either send us a note with what you've named it and why. Or if you're not feeling the creative juices because your blister stole them all, then you can just like send us a little description of how you got it and we'll name it for you. So I do not have any new blisters. I got a hot spot after all of the races walking around Epcot, but I do have two of our running buddies who submitted some. So we have
Yay.
Lotso. Um, one second, let me pull up the descriptors of how we got here.
Also, you don't need to send a pic of the blister.
Yeah, no,
We'll
don't
trust
send a
it.
pic.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Okay, we've got Lotso. He's big and fluffy, but mean as heck. And let's see how they described it to me when we came up with that name. Just all I got was I have one on the side of my big toe that's the size of another toe. So, I felt like Lotso was appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then our other running buddy we've got is I have a blister on my pinky toe, unlike anything I've ever seen. It's on the whole bottom, all the way around, all the
Ooh.
way to my toenail.
Ooh.
So we came up with a creative name for that one as well. And it's we voted for Bruni or Bruni. It's Bruni, right?
I
From
think it's
Frozen 2?
Bruni.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Ooh.
me leaning into the Latin. Is it Bruni? For Frozen 2 because he's cute and lovable, but he can be on fire if not soothed correctly.
That is so good. So good. I love it.
So thank you to Carissa and Riley, my running buddies, for allowing me to share their blisters on the podcast. If you would like to join our blister brigade, please let us know.
Our legacy is gotta shout out to Chester for starting this 2 years ago.
Look, if you're going to be in pain, you might as well have some fun with it.
Yeah. Join the blister brigade, everybody. Or don't because you didn't get a blister, which is fantastic. And I love that for you.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then we've got days until our next races and registration because they release more dates. Woohoo! All right. So we've got 9 days until the Disneyland Half Marathon 2025. You guys are just more than a week out. This is your friendly reminder to start your hydration.
Yes.
You can never start too early, but you definitely want to start like at least a week. If you get all the hydration early, you won't have to peak constantly while you're there. And then we've got 30 days until Princess Weekend 2025 when Natalie and I will be back in Disney.
Woo.
Whoop, whoop. We still haven't nailed down any like meetup details or anything like that, but we're planning and plotting. So if you have any ideas or any suggestions, please let us know. We have 72 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2025. Have you pulled any secret triggers, Natalie?
Not officially yet. I think was it Marathon Day or the day
Yes.
after the marathon where it was open for a few hours.
It was like open while we were running. I'm pretty certain.
And I had almost everything in there. I just have to finalize something with work before I actually pull because the challenge was open.
Mm-hmm.
And my fingers had typed all the things and everything, and then I decided I have to get that thing finalized work wise before I do it. So fingers crossed that things are going to work out for that. Again, I have a hotel room still.
So we all know that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time at this point.
Yes, and how yeah, probably. I'm just thinking about it. I'm not going to do it.
Liar.
We'll see. Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
We've got 226 days until Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon 2025. Your shirt deadline is quickly approaching on February 12th, 2025. So if you need to switch up your size, or you really liked the way or didn't like the way the shirts fit at marathon weekend or whatever, now's your opportunity. And then you've got your proof of time deadline, April 1st, 2025. I will continue to tell you that that's not an April Fool's joke. It will no longer be hilarious every time I say it, but just know it's not a joke, it's real. We also have 275 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2025. So we've added another race to the countdown. We will shortly be adding more. Just you look, get excited. But Club Run Disney registration is on February 4th, 2025. So very, very close. And
Yes.
general registration is February 11th, 2025. So get ready and make your decisions if you need to review how to register. If this is your first time, your millionth time, and you just need to like soothe the anxiety before it hits, go ahead and click back and find our registration episode. Do you remember what number it is, Natalie?
3.
Woo! We really kicked it off strong.
The most timely type of thing. And I'm imagining that if we don't have the themes by the time you hear this, it means I'll be surprised if we don't. They probably got released yesterday, as in Monday. And we'll talk about them once we get them. But they've been timing it about 2 weeks before club registration in the last for this season. Usually it was about a week before, so now it's 2. And
Mhm.
I'm excited to see what the star and moon and sun and whatever around Epcot, what it all means. And if there's any changes with proof of time, I think it's somewhat unlikely
Mhm.
at this point, um, except maybe pushing it back a month.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that I'd estimate, but who knows?
All right, you ready for some Disney news?
Oh, sure am. So I'm sitting in the airport. It's the 7th of January, and that's when they drop the news of the 2025-2026 race dates that got announced. So, marathon weekend for next year will be the 7th of January 2026 to the 11th of January 2026. Your Club Run Disney registration will be March 4th. General registration will be March 11th, so a month after the Wine and Dine ones. There was an absence of Disneyland for the initial announcement. Just
Mhm.
more details to come soon.
How rude.
I have the feeling that they're probably finalizing stuff with Anaheim. I'm really hoping that that's the case because this is, the Legacy Disneyland half weekend. So can't really tell you about that until they make that announcement. I'm not too panicked yet in terms of like the idea of it not going. They're probably because they even shifted dates between 2024 and 2025. So it was the week after Marathon Weekend last
Mhm.
year, and now it's a couple weeks later. So I'm the feeling that maybe that's just going to has to shift around other Anaheim things. Some people have suspected that there's stuff with Disneyland Forward that's also might impact some logistics. I don't know. I'm not panicked yet in terms of that. Um, but yeah, Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026 will be the 26th through March 2nd of 2026. So that pushes back a week. At least since I've been participating, it has never gone into March. So that's very interesting. So, like, the half will be on March the 1st. The Club Run Disney registration is the 17th of June. General registration will be the 24th of June. So your wallet gets a little bit of a break for a little bit. With that, so usually Princess is like the week of President's Day, and where President's Day will end or will happen, and then Princess starts like that following Thursday. I believe that Mardi Gras is also the week of President's Day next year, and when it's Mardi Gras, all of Louisiana is there
Mhm.
because
Well,
they
they
get the
all have
week
school
off.
off.
Yeah, because they have the week off. So it's kind of funny because sometimes it's after Princess where you just see people in their Mardi Gras best. I love it.
Mhm.
And I wonder if that was kind of a consideration with crowds and whatnot of President's Day plus Mardi Gras that week. So it'll go President's Day Monday, Mardi Gras Tuesday. And then the end of the season, Springtime Surprise will be the 16th of April to the 19th of April in 2026. Your Club Run Disney registration will be the 22nd of July this year. And then general registration will be July 29th. So that one is also kind of based off of Easter because that's when big breaks are and spring
Mhm.
breaks and Easter and whatnot. So I wasn't surprised to see because there's like two options for springtime. It's either like very beginning of April or like third week of April.
Mhm.
And I think that that fluctuated with Star Wars as well when it was Star Wars weekend. But I'll be excited to kind of see how themes are this next year and just go from there. Speaking, got a lot of Run Disney stuff this week. Haha.
Mhm.
So Run Disney branded merchandise is going to be available at the Marketplace Co-op at Disney Springs starting tomorrow, the 22nd.
That's wild.
For all intents and purposes, this is going to be like our generic or like the
Mhm.
core line. I believe that's what
Yeah,
they're
I think they
calling
call
it.
it the core line. Some of it's very cute.
Yes, for sure. And I've always wanted there to be a place to purchase your Run Disney stuff.
Mhm.
In other places, I wonder if that's where because you can return stuff. You don't have to go back to the expo to return things. I try to most of the time. Sometimes I don't because I decide after the expo's closed for
Mhm.
the weekend that I don't want something. But I wonder if that's where your returns are going to end up now because I didn't notice them in any hotel gift shops this time. Because sometimes I
Yeah.
just putz around and I see and like,
Mhm.
oh man, like there's I think last year I saw like a dopey stuff in the Polynesian gift shop,
Ooh,
um, because they return it and then that's where it ends up. So I wonder if that's where that'll also go. I don't know.
perhaps.
And they centralize it. So
Mhm.
I think it's going to be mostly for because the co-op, I think that's the place that already had like the different magnets and tags and
Yes,
whatnot that
it's
you
where you
could
can
get
get
made.
phone cases and mhm.
So I think it's good to have a centralized place and then the stuff with the core line, the more generic. Like I have a couple of the Every Mile is Magic type of shirts that I
Mhm.
really, really like. And I'll be excited to see how that all turns up because I don't end up over there usually during that first expo day because,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be cool.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Because we'll get into this later. Ben and I went to Disney Springs our first day. If I had bought Run Disney merch before the expo opened, like
It's definitely an opportunity though, especially if especially as they have expanded the core line. I don't
mhm,
really remember quite as much of that. And again, I only did one race pre-COVID, so I do have one that was like princessy colors, but it doesn't say like Run Disney Princess Weekend on it. There's a castle on it,
mhm,
but they've expanded over the last couple years because I remember like going, oh, I kind of like the more generic Run Disney merch. So, and they've definitely expanded their offerings for it.
mhm.
So I think that it makes sense that they have it. But yeah, it would be kind of crazy. Like you get in Wednesday afternoon for if the expo opens Thursday and you already have some stuff.
Yeah. They had some really cute, like gray sparkly fabric, matching
Ooh,
jogger. I think it was a sweatshirt like set in there.
ooh,
They also they really played some games with us this marathon weekend with the generic stuff because they released it like a little bit each day, like different
ooh.
styles. Like there was stuff that what was there the second day of the expo that wasn't there the first day of the expo. And they just like slowly drop stuff. Like they dropped a vest halfway through.
Interesting. Huh. I didn't pay enough attention to that, probably because a little bit of my soul left my body that first day of the
Yeah.
expo, which we'll talk about, and I did make it back in the merch building, like, later that day with somebody else, but yeah, interesting. I actually didn't know that. I wonder if it was, like, a delayed shipment or if it was just like, "Oh, we got some more shelf space."
I don't know. I mean, the reason I know is, 1, I went back to the expo on the last day, so there was stuff there then, but also I was following the Facebook groups, like,
Hmm.
religiously, and people were posting
True.
about it each day about, "This is new, it wasn't here before," and
Ooh, interesting.
yeah.
Huh. Neat. They're always keeping us on our little toes. And we had a couple we got the Princess Event Guide this past week.
Mhm.
We're gonna talk about it in 2 weeks. Kind of figured that, with Marathon Weekend, we're still in the glow, the honeymoon phase with Marathon Weekend, that we wanted to talk about our experiences first, and then
Mhm.
we'll talk about the event guide. So, stay tuned. Um, Short answer is that we're running the same half course as we did at Marathon Weekend, and we'll talk about that as well. So, and then one last little piece of news. The indoor playground at Dumbo the Flying Elephant will close for refurb starting the 27th and reopen sometime this spring. Dumbo's still open. That thing looks really cool. I was there like not long after it opened with like, because they, at the time, this was in 2014, they gave you a little pager, and basically your kids could go play in the key or play in the playground. Or there were benches for adults to sit on. I was 18, so I was on the bench. And it's a really cool concept to kind of like get like your kids get their like sillies out while like in a controlled environment. It looks really
Mhm.
cute in there. And like I like the concept of like a different style of waiting in that way, or, you know,
Yeah,
especially it's cute.
and it's indoor.
Indeed, which is really nice for heat and cold.
Yeah.
Okay. This day in Disney history, we're actually over on the West Coast. On the 21st of January in 1955, there's a press release about the Disneyland Hotel, which is scheduled to open later that year. And at the time, there weren't a lot of hotels that were designed really with families in mind. It really was like businessmen or like type of thing. So it was revolutionary in that way. If you haven't watched Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus, it actually there's a whole episode in the first season about the Disneyland Hotel that's really fascinating. And also on this day in 1998, the parking lot in front of the gates to Disneyland, which had been in use since Disneyland had opened, permanently closed. Why did that happen, you ask? California Adventure. To make way for California Adventure.
So, I've never been to Disneyland or California Adventure. Is their parking situation similar to our Magic Kingdom, where we have, like, the transportation center, and if you drive, you have to, like, take other transportation to actually get there?
Yes, in a way. So there's a couple different parking lots around there. And this is actually interesting thinking of where the Disneyland Forward project's going to go. But one of them, there's the Mickey and Friends parking structure that you take a tram to.
Mhm.
So it's not like you have to take a monorail all the way there in that way, or a ferry or whatnot, because it's landlocked, first of all. But because I actually took the tram to the Mickey and Friends parking structure last year because our mutual friend Jamie came to spectate for the 5K
Mm.
for Disneyland because he happened to be in Southern California at the time. And so he brought here. We went to breakfast, and then he brought me back to my hotel. So I got to go to the Mickey and Friends parking structure. But there's a couple different parking situations. Kind of, let me think. It's kind of like Universal, where
Yeah, that's what I
Universal
was gonna ask.
currently is just 2 parks, like, right next to each other. They have City Walk in the middle. Disneyland
Mhm,
doesn't have City Walk, but they have, like, a esplanade,
mhm.
and, like, the parking is, like, on the outer structures of it,
Yeah,
to for lack
and
of a
then
better
you
term.
go into, like, a central hub where everyone goes through security before you
Yes.
enter Universal property.
Yes. Yeah. You have your, like, hotels on one side, like, those hotels on one side, because 'cause I've never driven to Disneyland, because I've Ubered to my
Mhm.
hotel and then walked from my hotels because I haven't stayed on property. But
There's a lot less options to stay on property out there, so
yes, there are 3. And there's not as much of a benefit, in my opinion.
mm,
I mean, okay, being able to just walk into California Adventure from the Grand Californian is pretty sweet,
mhm.
but in terms of at Walt Disney World, there is a lot more benefits to staying on property. Disneyland less so. And then also when my stays have been free because I've had credit card points to use.
Mhm.
Kind of hard to justify. I'd love to stay at the each of those hotels once, but that's a high in the sky, like future DVC contract, like splurge a little on your points type of deal.
Mm. All right. You ready to jump into it? You ready to relive Marathon Weekend?
Oh, I'm ready.
Eee. Okay, well, I got there first. I
You
win.
did.
Just kidding. But we both traveled on the 7th of January. That was the Tuesday before the expo. And Ben and I, we drove from Atlanta. It's about 6.5 to 7.5, depending on what traffic you hit. We got really lucky because we got up really, really early and basically didn't hit much Atlanta traffic. And honestly, I think we hit more traffic arriving in Orlando than we did driving out of
Ooh.
Atlanta, which is kind of wild. We had our favorite stop at Buc-ee's. It's the only stop that matters. And we got breakfast tacos. If you are not aware of Buc-ee's, or you always go like in the lunchtime, evening time, and all you know is that they have like really good pulled pork and brisket and like barbecue sandwiches, you are missing out for sure. The breakfast is arguably better
Oh.
than the lunch, I think, depending on which items you get. Um, I just really love their breakfast tacos. However, if you are there, actually, technically, you could have this with breakfast because they have like you can get a giant, you know, 32 ounce or whatever, like cup of soda from the soda fountain, and their root beer because they have all their own like you can get every soda you could ever imagine, every drink you can imagine, like in a bottle from the cooler, but they also have their own branded stuff throughout the whole place. Like they used to have these um pickle chip things that were like, in a little pouch, and they no longer sell that brand because they made their own.
Ooh.
So it's a fun place to go through. They have like the whole aisle of like all the regular chips, and then you go one aisle over and it's all the same chips basically, but it's their version of the chips with Bucky on the front. So we spent a good time searching on the way home to find a very specific treat that Ben wanted to find, and they didn't have it at our location, which is a bummer.
Oh,
So we'll have to be on the lookout in the future. But anywho, we had delicious breakfast tacos, and it was a pretty smooth journey. It was on the 6.5 hour side, luckily. And then we checked into French Quarter. And then after we dropped our stuff, we went to Disney Springs and we spent pretty much, I mean, so we got there like around lunchtime. We basically spent the entire day at Disney Springs. We went and had lunch at Eat, which is very convenient if you're staying at Port Orleans, French Quarter, or Riverside, because where the boat drops you off for Disney Springs, it is literally the first first place you can go to when you walk through security.
oh, nice.
And it was really good, honestly. I was a little I wasn't I've wanted to go for a while, but I actually didn't look at the menu or anything in advance like I normally do. I just sort of like we went, and it's kind of like Chipotle in the sense that you like they have plenty of things that are not like that, but the vast majority of like their entrees are like Chipotle where you pick your base, your protein, and your sauce. And so you can get like rice, uh lentils, I think, and some other stuff. I just remember rice because, like, I love rice. And then they've got all the different proteins, chicken, shrimp. I think they have lamb. Uh, I already said shrimp. I think they had tofu. There's options, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, I guess. I don't know. They've got the whole spectrum you will be able to eat there. Indian food is inherently very vegetarian friendly. And it was really, really good. Ben and I both made our own bowls, and then we also got an appetizer of penny puri,
Ooh.
which is this like little dish of I don't actually know what the puffs are made out of. I wanna say it's rice, but I could be totally wrong. But they're like these, like, fried puffs that are hollow, so they're really crispy, like, hard. You have they do this for you, but if you ever, like, have it at someone's house or whatever, you, like, poke a hole in the top of it, and then they put a, like, potato, chickpea, I don't know what seasonings in it, like, filling, and they let
Hmm.
you do that yourself here. They put the filling in, like, a little bowl, and then they've got all the little puff, fried thingies around it, and then there's a, like, mint sauce is gonna make it sound like it's thick. It's like a mint water, basically, that you, like, pour on top, and then they have these puffed, I don't know if they're lentils or what, but they have these little crunchy puffed things in the bottom of the bowl, so you basically layer, like, the filling, then you put the little crunchy bits on, and then you pour the sauce on, and then it's like a one bite situation because if you like
Ooh.
sushi, if you don't do it well, I mean, sushi, maybe you get lucky, but if you don't do one bite because they're basically, like, watery liquid in there, it's gonna go everywhere.
Hmm.
So, like, you pop it, one bite, and it was really, really, really good. I sent it to my coworker, a picture of it, and he was just, like, astounded that there was penne puri anywhere, and it was really good. I chugged some of the mint water. It also had jalapeno in it. It was spicy, um, but I, like, chugged part of it because it comes in, like, its own little, like, square, like, juice box kinda thing. Like, it's
Interesting.
resealable, it's got a lid, and, we only used, like, half the liquid. It's a lot of liquid for the number that they gave us on the tray, and I was sad. I didn't wanna, like, let it go. I was like, "I don't wanna just throw it away," so I chugged some of it. That was a bad decision. It was a lot spicier. The jalapeno went straight to my stomach, which was not empty at this point, but, like, it just went straight there, and I was like, "Ooh, that burnt a little bit,"
Ooh.
but it was tasty. And then we just wandered around, we saw all the Christmas trees. I got my magic band for I don't know if I got all of them, but a lot of the trees, and I scared some kids because I don't think they realized they were, like, sitting near a tree, and I activated it, and it started making sound. So, yeah, it was a very pleasant experience. How was your first
Nice.
day?
Pretty good. It was travel. So I
Mhm.
flew out of Omaha down to Atlanta, and it was pretty much almost at Disney by the time I had gotten to Atlanta,
Yeah, I think I only had, like, an hour maybe?
something like that. And then flew into Orlando. On the way in, made a stop at the grocery store for water and Powerade, which is definitely, if you're driving, definitely a good idea to, well, get it at home. But or I usually do Instacart if I don't have if I don't have a
A
driver
car.
situation. Or, yeah, you know that thing on four wheels. Checked in. I was at Port Orleans Riverside. The Christmas tree was still up, which was exciting,
Mm.
and I, still Christmas vibes when I got there. Got to the room. I was in my favorite area of the resort, which is Magnolia Terrace. I was in the Acadian House at Riverside, which that's the side near the north and east depots. So we were pretty close to north, but we could have done east had we wanted to. Um, and yeah, I went to Beaches and Cream for dinner. Did not get ice cream because it was chilly. Got the French dip there, which I like everything on the menu at Beaches and Cream, and really, I like everything. So, saw a cute dog while I was there, Shih Tzu, who looked a lot like my first dog, Leia, and very, very good girl. Very excited because she was in like a little pram.
Aw.
And yes, I was very much very excited. Like, can you tell I miss my mom's dogs a lot? Um, love dogs. So that was really all for the first day. Kind of just got settled in, and I knew that the next day would be an early one. So
Mhm.
got in and on to Expo Day.
Yeah, we both had early mornings, but for different reasons.
Sure did. So I am a Club Run Disney Gold member, and if I haven't mentioned that before, I know I have. And my shopping window started at 8:30 in the morning, but I know that we are all a little mad here. And I made it my plan. I wanted to be there by 7:30. It was around 7:40 by the time my Uber dropped me off, maybe 7:45. And again, my window didn't open for another 45-ish minutes. And I was already in a line. It was probably like I was at least 100 deep in the line by that point.
Wow.
So, wasn't too bad though. I actually ended up standing behind my team captains for the American Cancer Society team
Whoop whoop.
for Chicago, which is wild because I saw that they had cool merch and I was like, "Oh, I really love your beanie." It's like, "Oh, well, I run for American Cancer Society." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm running in Chicago." And you're like, "Oh, we're your team captains for," because I've met a couple people that are in our group of 100
Mm-hmm.
almost, and it was great to meet them, talk with them. So that was made the time go by very quickly. It actually wasn't too cold waiting out there, but I also had like a big puffy vest on
Mm-hmm.
over a sweatshirt over a t-shirt. So it would be a little hard to get like too cold. But waited for merch to open. Once I got in for merch, it was a madhouse in the way I think I forgot the first day of marathon weekend could be.
It was, I mean, I didn't get there till later and it was also a madhouse, so I can't imagine. The
But
idea of it gave me anxiety.
yeah, and like ours is just for the club members too, because you got a beeline for the dopey merch,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a mission of getting things for other people, so
Eee.
that was also a little stressful of like because then the sweatshirts, and then I
Mm-hmm.
kind of basically stocked the sweatshirts periodically, and then I grabbed the tank top. Grabbed the tank top because I'm obsessed with the tank tops. I wear them all summer. I wear them all the time, and then it was like, oh, like yeah, I would like basically like kind of take my stuff back to like a little like corner and then like try some stuff on and then kind of like stalk around and be like, okay, are we back? Because I know like I personally for the expo I always put stuff back where it came from because I've picked something up that somebody else is getting rid of in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to return it back to where it's supposed to be and not just like a general rack so that
Mm-hmm.
it's easier for someone else to find it and take it home. And yeah, it was a zoo. It was crazy. I used like the whole hour shopping window because was kind of waiting for stuff. And then I would grab stuff, I'd try it on and then decide against it. Like I had the cute jersey on.
Oh, the
I had
baseball jersey?
the baseball jersey. I had it and both the sizes, the one size was too big and the other one, I was like, it was one of those like, how much am I actually gonna wear this?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one that I put back that was highly coveted.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It was sold out pretty fast, right?
yeah,
Was it
I
even
think
sold out during your window? Because there was some stuff that was gone by the end of
yeah.
Club Run Disney.
Yeah, there was some stuff. I know the dopey sweatshirts, I think at
Mhm.
least in the first hour of general, they were gone. And again, like, are they gone to the point where people then return them? Because then the dopey sweatshirt is something I thought about because there was no jacket. It was just a
Mhm.
dopey sweatshirt. And I thought about it all weekend because I was considering returning it. But what I was gonna do is I was going to probably do like a private return, like for somebody. Like
Mhm.
I like asked around and then I did decide to keep it because I'm like, well, it is really cute and I like the retro, like sports vibe of it.
Mhm.
Um, kind of like a, hey, like, I want to make sure this gets into the hands of like somebody who like,
Mhm.
should have it.
Not a reseller.
Um, yes, yes. So that's why I try to, when I do make returns, I do try to take them back to the expo. So that, or I mean, Disneyland last year, I was about to return it to a gift shop and somebody's like, can I buy that off of you? I didn't get that shirt and I really want it. And the cast member scanned it so she knew exactly what I paid. We did the Venmo there and she took it.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely a zoo. I was a little like tuckered out almost by the end of my even like shopping experience. Got all the pins I was looking for. That was good. I actually had a problem with mobile checkout
Oh,
with I couldn't scan the 5K pin at all.
weird.
At all. It was weird. I could do the 10K, I could do the marathon, I could do I eventually didn't try all of them,
Mhm.
but as soon as like cuz I'm like, well, I have multiple, so I'm going to have to
Mhm.
go talk to someone anyway. And so some stuff wouldn't really scan. So I had to just go to the normal checkout anyway. And I could not tell you the last time I did. Actually, Disneyland was the last time I did that. But at Walt Disney World, I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. Maybe my very first race in
Mhm.
2020. I always do mobile checkout because it's just so easy. Of, hey, here's my annual pass. Like, it just applies your annual pass discount. It
Mhm.
emails you the receipt. So then, but had a very nice person check me out. Very patient with my multiple transactions, because it was easier for me to kind of keep things straight of like, okay, I got like these pins for Samantha, these pins for Hannah, these pins are mine, of like kind of keeping straight, like, and
How
then like
much
it
each
made,
person owes you?
yes, of like dividing up, and made sure things tied out, because I haven't, in the past I haven't done it that way, and I'm like dividing out like what percentage of the total is yours, because I still had to do that like for this, because I put you and Samantha on the same receipt.
Mhm.
um
I saw
so
the
like I
spreadsheet.
Yes, she did. I showed her my tie out, and but I still had to do the division. But it, like, since I got stuff for multiple people, it was like a little easier for me to divide out, like, and what each person specifically owed me. So got through that. Got to the bib line. It wasn't horrible when I got there. So Clubber and Disney, our window closes at 9:30. We have to get to checkout by that point. Got a bracelet from Alan. And he also was like, "Oh yeah, I have one for my friend." He's like, "Oh, here's one for your friend too." So for Hannah. And
I ended up with 2 throughout the weekend.
love it. Allen bracelets are so good. They glow in the dark. And so I think it was by 10 o'clock was by the time that I actually got checked out, because you wait in the normal line, you have to wait. For there's a lot of people. So got to the bib line, and that was a little, it wasn't horribly long. I was in the switchbacks outside of the building where you get the bibs,
Mhm.
and then there's switchbacks,
Inside too.
inside, on the basketball court. The basketball court didn't have the padding down, so that was weird. Um, Usually, like, there's like a black padding, and when I did my first Dopey, that's where they had just Dopey runners go get their stuff. It was all their our table, our areas were just all up there,
Mm,
which was kind of interesting because your shirts were bundled with it too. Super nice. um,
yeah.
that time. But talked to some really, really nice people, in that line, and then kind of like anticipation's growing as like get closer and closer to going down on the floor to go get my bibs. Um, Lines weren't too bad, but I was really lucky where when I got in my line for the bib, and this is like line to line to line, but in line for my bib, I actually, there was only one other person in line because I was close to the cutoff for C,
Mhm.
which I knew that I pretty much knew that that's where I would end up, but still, like, you wait with bated breath because it's like, okay, my number indicates this. I'm hoping it like actually means that,
Mhm.
um, in terms of corrals and whatnot, and like they should take my POT because they did it wine and dine, and I know it's well under the limit, so my proof of time was accepted. So getting a bib handed to me with C on it was emotional in a way, even though like I've been in C a lot of the last couple races, but just kind of like the manifestation, or like, just like kind of like the realization of the hard work and that I've put in, and getting the proof of time that I have. It was nice. It felt it hit different.
Mhm.
It definitely it hit different. It was like, wow, dang. It was awesome. So got my bib, got some pictures, because they gave us a luggage tag for Goofy
Mhm.
as well, because this was the 20-year anniversary of Goofy. Then I went over to get my shirts from the other building, and actually kind of putzed around a little bit more than normal. Fun fact, because you is that, and I'll talk about this probably again next week because I might forget, but I want to say it now in case I do forget to say it. If you bring back your KT tape, like if you have KT tape,
Mhm.
and like specifically KT brand KT tape, you can get multiple, they use yours and they can tape you in multiple places. Because I made sure to ask while there was like no line so that I wasn't
Mm.
bothering them while they were trying to tape people. Because I asked them that, I looked at some of the vendors. I did talk to Jeff Galloway on day one of the
Yay.
expo. So had a little chit chat with him. He did recognize me. He's like, "So
Oh.
how you've been? How's like your, you know, how was like, but your training been going? So we chit chatted a little bit, and I was like, well, Jeff, if I come back Saturday, you're part of my ritual, so just know. And we'll
Did
get
he
to
like
that
that?
later. He did. He
Aw.
did. We'll get to that later. They did change the beer cup. It's really cute.
Did
The
you get
marathon
one?
I did.
Okay.
I I got a drink at the expo because I wanted to make sure I got that cup.
Mhm.
And they definitely they did sell them sans alcohol, and I don't think they
That's
give you
how I
much of
got
a
mine.
discount. I was gonna say, yeah. Um, so yeah, we then it was time for me to kind of skedaddle on away, except I actually didn't skedaddle on away. No, that's what I usually do. I just remembered that I did not skedaddle on away because we had the Dopey Strong meetup where a lot of
Which
people in
I
there are really,
missed.
oh, they're cute little coats, and it was so nice to
Mhm.
meet a bunch of people who I had talked to online a lot, and it's like, "Oh, like, you're Natalie," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I am Natalie," and, like, people who, I see and, like, I interact with their stories all the time, I, like, talk to them about training, so it was great to see people in person and take, a gigantic group picture. um, I met up with my friend Samantha. She was in line for bibs at that point, and we basically I treated it like trick or treat, dropping her pins into her bag
Mhm.
and her sweatshirt into her bag. It was like trick or treat, like, dropping her stuff into her bag. And then did go back into the merch building because I did get a virtual queue. My mom was with me as a spectator this weekend, and she still likes to come to the expo. So
Yeah.
whether or not like she's participating, she likes to come. And she kind of,
Both.
yeah, she was like, "Oh, it's a little crazy here." I'm like, "Yeah, marathon weekend is definitely the worst of it in terms of that." And so we went back in, and I got some of the number sign pictures I didn't get earlier.
Mhm.
So that was good to get, and kind of putzed around a little more. Saw like some stuff, and what was still there, what wasn't still there. And yeah, then I left because then I had I'd worked the rest of the day,
Mhm.
so I had some calls to take and stuff to get done. So I did that.
Fun, fun. Ben and I also went to the expo, but we did not have the early start that you did, partly because you were able to secure some of my, like, basically, Natalie and I talk about the merch and theorize and spiral about what may or may not be there ahead of time. So I make like a little shared note with her of like, these are the things that if it's there, I would be crushed if it was sold out by the time I got there. Not knowing most weekends I don't get there for the virtual queue because this was the first weekend I've done every race and had to be there on the first day. But I did get a virtual queue. It was actually pretty early. It was like 28, 29,
Something like that.
pretty early in the queue process. And let's just say I wasn't anticipating being that lucky. So Ben and I had decided that it was the perfect day to start our Disney vacation at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which it was. It was a very good experience. We really enjoyed going to DAC, but um we got there like not before the park opens, but, like, within minutes of park opening, so it was just, like, we were basically there with everyone, we could beeline it to wherever we wanted to go. Our plan was to ride, Flight of Passage and get that out of the way, however, Flight of Passage was down as it is,
Ah,
I feel like I don't know if it really is, but every time we're there in the morning, it's down. So,
interesting.
maybe we're unlucky, but it wasn't up, so we went and rode Navi River Journey and waited all of like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, even though I'm pretty sure it said the queue was 40. It was very fast. And we got pulled ahead. We were in like, right when you get done with the outside queue, you go through this little like cave tunnel kind of thing right before they put you on the boats. Like there's not really much inside
Mhm.
waiting. We were about like basically right past where they merged the lightning lane. They were like, party of two. And we got
Oh,
like right onto a boat, which was very fun. And after that, we were like, "Oh, okay, well, we thought we would go get breakfast, but then our lightning lane. So when I go with Ben, we get lightning lanes because he's not an annual pass holder and we really want to like maximize his experience. We went and did Everest, I think, first. And we were sad because Ben really wanted to get breakfast at Tuli's, but I don't know why I was worried about us missing the window. They would have let us in. I have yet to be turned away. It wasn't that busy yet, so I feel like even if we
Okay,
had
yeah.
been late, they would have let us in, or we could have gotten in single rider. Like, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But we went straight over to Everest, rode Everest, and then we had some dumplings from the little dumpling cart that's between there and the safari.
Ooh.
Then we rode the safari, which there were not as many animals out, probably because it's cold AF. It was quite cold marathon weekend. There were still like plenty, and I was kind of hoping we would see more because it's early in the morning around feeding time and
Mhm.
stuff. So that's probably why we saw as many as we did, because they were definitely like, I saw people out. I saw keepers. I don't know what their titles are, but out there putting out more feed and doing caring for the animals. And then after that, we beelined it straight to Satuli. And we were like, okay, let's eat. And I'm pretty sure we did that before we rode the ride, or maybe we rode Flight of Passage and then ate, one of the two, because as we were approaching Flight of Passage, I think we might have rode Flight of Passage first because we were
Yeah.
waiting in line when you were buying
Yes.
merch. So
Yes.
we like were trying to get food, and then I noticed as we were like getting close that people were lining up to like get in the ride, but there was no one, like there was an external queue outside of the actual queue,
Mhm.
and it was very short. They hadn't had it wrapped or anything, and I was like, this is our chance.
True.
So we did get in. It still took us, I want to say, like 45-ish minutes to get through the queue, which is not bad. However, we also like we're standing in there, we're like, oh, this could be a while, because they kept coming on and making the announcements as they were running at a reduced capacity. And I think they
Mm.
were only running one of the theaters
Yeah.
at the time. And then by the time we made it to, you go up that like concrete ramp where they actually feed
Yeah.
you into which theater are you going to be in.
Mhm.
Um, I think they had started running a second one, but not all three.
Ah. Okay.
And they were obviously prioritizing a lot of people with lightning lanes. We
Right.
had a lightning lane for that, but because the ride never opened, they canceled our lightning lane,
Oh,
which I was
interesting.
surprised, and also I was irritated.
That's interesting because I feel like usually what they do is that they
Usually they just
like
give you a return time, like come back whenever you want.
yeah. I wonder
I
if
wonder if
they
that's part of the new.
yeah, that's really that's just odd to me that they would cancel it because I'd understand if you had one at like 3 p.m.
Mhm.
and it still hadn't opened that they'd probably just be like
Yeah, it's not opening today.
and yeah, we're gonna just refund the money. That's really interesting to me because like with the single pass versus the
Mhm.
multi-experience passes, I wonder or sorry, or the yeah, single pass versus
Multipass.
oh, yeah, okay, so I
Yeah.
was a multi-pass. That's interesting to me because I think I've never had my single pass not go. I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
the first time.
I don't know, man,
Interesting.
but it was canceled. I don't know if it was a glitch or what, but I know we had it because I had been reviewing all of our rides like the night
Yeah.
before with Ben. Anywho, we got through. It was fine. It was very enjoyable. I enjoyed the ride a lot more than my previous ride. Ben,
Okay.
we were kind of on the edge this time, so like I could kind of see the edge, but um Ben really didn't. He enjoyed the ride itself, but the ride vehicle is slightly uncomfortable for him based on how tight his hip flexors are. They put you in this like
Ah.
motorcycle riding position similar to Tron, but not the same. And that kind of was uncomfortable, but this time he's either more flexible or he was able to get into a slightly different position in the ride vehicle
Mhm.
and he enjoyed it a lot more.
Nice.
Then we finally made it to Satuli, which had already switched over to lunch food, not breakfast. So we were a little bummed we missed out on breakfast because it looked
They
really
switch
good.
at 10,
I know. It's
which usually I
early.
feel like it's at 11.
Yeah,
Because
most places do switch at 11.
tried to make it there. I tried to make it there by breakfast one of the days, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, whatever. I don't have to. I don't have to rush out of the room then."
Yeah. So we had lunch, but it was amazing. I mean, you and I had it together. It's so good. But it
Yes.
was Ben's first experience, and I was slightly worried that I had like overhyped it
Yeah.
because we got there, got like I mobile ordered, we got the food, sat down. He got the ocean bowl. So the noodles are blue and it's got tuna in it, I think, pretty sure.
Yes.
And it was really, I didn't have the tuna because I'm like already like iffy on raw fish sometimes.
Mhm.
Mostly in sushi, it's the seaweed that gets me, not actually the fact that the fish is raw, but also, is that a risk that I want to take right before I run a race?
Fair. Fair.
So, he enjoyed that, but the noodles were really good. His sauce was really good. Everything but the fish I ate. But he was like, I don't know if it was the riding right before or if we were dehydrated or what, but he was like not feeling great. He was feeling really, really
Mm.
tired when we got there. We also got one of the desserts, some kind of like it's like jelly. It's like a little dome shape,
Was it
and
like
it's
the blue moose?
yeah, that. And it's definitely like cheesecakey on the inside. I couldn't figure
Yeah.
out why. I was like, it's supposed to be blueberry flavor, but I don't feel like it's very blueberry-y. And I think it's because it's like a cheesecake blueberry and the cheesecake tartness like really overpowers the blueberry. Don't get me wrong, it is delicious. And for someone who's not the biggest fan of blueberry, I was okay with it.
Fair.
But it was really good and Ben really liked it. There was like a shave of white chocolate on it and he thought it was a piece of parmesan.
That
So that was kind of funny.
is funny.
And then we went and rode Dinosaur, which was also Ben's first ride of Dinosaur, at least that he remembers. Who knows? Childhood. Um, and he really, really liked it. And I was really glad to ride it again. We also considered when we first entered the park and heard that that Flight of Passage was down, we were like, well, we could go to Dinosaur and just ride it again and again and again and again because the wait time was 5 minutes.
Wow.
By the time we made it there later in the afternoon, it was up to, I think, 40
Okay.
technically, but we had a lightning lane that we were really, really late for. That was also supposed to be something we did in the morning. And I was like, it doesn't matter. The wait time can't really get that long. It'll be fine. And we tried to scan our lightning lane anyway, even though we were like 3 hours late. And the cast member was like, wow, you're like really, really late. And I was like, yeah, okay, we could. I just like immediately shut down and was like, we'll go in the regular line. And she was like, oh no, like, why were you late? And I was like, well, we got stuck on the Flight of Passage in the line. It was really, really long. And she was like, oh, I don't really care. I just, I like to hear fun stories. I get bored.
Ha! That's
And she was like,
hilarious.
okay, go ahead.
I get bored.
Yeah, it was really cute. And also, you don't really miss anything going through the lightning lane on that ride.
Right.
You see the whole queue. There's
Right.
nothing to be missed. So I was glad about that. And then we went to the expo. We didn't have to queue outside for our bibs, but we did have to queue in the loop-de-loop inside.
Okay.
Um, but it was still really, really fast. Like we saw that, and I think we were in that room for less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Like, it was really speedy. I had to wait in 0 line. There was nobody in my bib line.
Nice.
Ben, on the other hand, who was only, like, 300 spots away from me, he had to wait forever. Like, I got my bib and then got in line with him, and he basically hadn't moved. So we
Wow.
waited for his bib for quite a while. Both of our cast members that helped us get our bibs were super nice. Mine was also named Hannah.
Nice.
It was a win. And what was his name? I don't know. I gave him a cast compliment, but I can't remember right now what his name was. That helped Ben, but he was super good. He was probably why his line was a little bit longer. He was making sure that everyone who was picking up Dopey bibs understood this is your one for your 5K and your 10K. This is the one for the half and the full. Do not mess it up, but there will be cast members checking for you. And
Mhm.
like, here, take some extra pins and make sure you've got this and that. And he was very nice and very helpful. We didn't take any pictures that day. We went straight to pick up our shirts. I had to pick up my Sparkle skirt, my Dopey Strong skirt from Sparkle Athletics that I wore during the full. And I saw my running buddy,
Aw.
Riley, while we were in line. She was right in front of me. And I think I must have told one of the Sparkle Athletic people like my name to pick up. And she turned around and was like, Hannah.
Aw.
So that was very cute, and her boyfriend was there, as well, and then, yeah, we picked up shirts, went through. I didn't really like, Ben got some stuff. I bought an extra, like, caffeinated, Cliff Blocks, which actually is what saved me in the marathon, so good job me, and Ben got some Run Gum, and we saw, Jeff's booth. He was not there at the time we were there. It was one of his, like, break times. We got some free toast, free yogurt. Still did not take any pictures. And then we went and picked we did not our merch queue was also like I was really late, right? So at this point it's like probably like 3 in the afternoon. I don't know. Way, way
Mhm.
late. My queue opened up at like 10 a.m. or something, like 10:30. I don't know. Many, many
Like
hours had passed.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know if they're gonna let us in. There was one row of cast members checking to see that you even had a QR code, but not actually scanning it. And when
Mhm.
she let us pass, and I was like, "Oh, well, if this is all they're doing, then like we're in." And then I saw there was a second line of cast members actually scanning everyone's QR codes, and I was like, "Oh no." And again, they scanned the QR code, and I was like really upfront, even with the people around me. I was like, "Hey, do you want to go in front of us? I don't want to like cause a backup. I'm late to I don't know if they're going to let me in." Kind
Mhm.
of thing. People were super nice. They're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like, it'll be fine." And it did. They scanned it. I even said, like, when she was scanning, I was like, "We're really late. I'm so sorry. Is it okay?" And like, she was like, "Oh yeah, I don't care. Go."
Oh,
I think also like it was within the last couple hours. I think they were getting really close to disbanding the virtual
yeah.
queue anyways. There was lots of people sitting on the lawn waiting for their queue to come up still, but we went in. We got. I feel like I got something.
I
What did
think
I
that's
get?
when the lounge fly
Oh,
was something I
yes,
didn't
yes,
get
yes,
for
yes.
you.
This was when we got more than something. I got the Loungefly. I got my Spirit jersey because you weren't sure if I wanted the marathon weekend one or the pass
Or the
holder
pass holder,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, so I got that. I got my pass holder magnet.
Nice.
I got, um
You got the ears because I didn't
I
get
got
those for
the
you
ears
either
to go with the
because they
Loungefly
weren't
that match.
yeah, they weren't walking off the shelves, so I felt
Mm-mm.
pretty good about
Yeah,
that.
I got those. I got, Ben got the goofy quarter zip because they still had sizes for him, which was good. I think they ran big.
A little big. That was one of the
So
things I returned
mhm.
eventually because I looked at the white and was like, "You're gonna spill on that, and you're gonna be so mad at yourself." So, I had to think about it, and I was gonna keep it, but I'm like, "Are you gonna reach for it because you know you're gonna spill on it?"
Yeah. I
For me,
very
that was a no.
carefully rationalized that anything I got for Ben, I could also wear, and it would just look
True,
cozy large on me.
true.
So we got that one. I was looking we Ben got a marathon, the red short sleeve, not the long sleeve, marathon shirt. It
Oh,
didn't
cute.
it was because there was there was one for every race, but the marathon one had the I did it, like, small in the,
Oh, nice.
um sh
Breast pocket?
yeah, basically, there was no pocket, but where that
Yeah.
would be, whereas, like, the Dopey one had it huge on the
Mhm.
shirt, and he was like, "I no, mm-mm." So he got the marathon one, and then I felt like the luckiest human on the planet because we were looking while he was looking at those, I right after that we like passed by the marathon weekend jackets and I looked at them knowing that the only sizes were extra small and like triple XL
Mhm.
or double XL, whatever the large. I think it's double. I don't think they went up to triple this year.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah. Um and while I was standing there, contemplating, I saw this guy standing holding both a small and a medium in the jacket. And I was
Ooh.
like, and I could tell he was contemplating. So I was just like loitering without like trying to be like too close to him. I didn't want to be that person who's like standing
Weird.
right next to you waiting for you to put something down. Um and while I was sort of loitering waiting, some other guy swoops in and is like, "Is anyone looking for a medium?" And I was like, "Me." And I snapped that up.
Nice.
Yeah. And then same thing for the spirit jersey. They were really limited on like size availability for that as well. And
Really?
that
Hmm.
one I think wasn't so much that one I think I found the spirit jersey amongst all the double XLs. Like it was hiding.
Mm.
So yeah, because one of the items I got from someone who like was putting one back, and then one I got because it was hiding amongst the wrong size. So
Interesting.
I think that's pretty much. Oh, I also went and I got my pass holder magnet and I got the pass holder pin, but not the pass holder shirt
Hmm.
or spirit jersey. Even though it was really cute, I just wanted I was really in like this is my first, and at the time I was kind of rationalizing not my only marathon weekend because I'm very confident that I will go back, but it just felt like you can't redo your first. So I'm
Right.
going to live it up, and I gave myself a free pass on a
There
lot.
you go.
Um, but yeah, that was pretty much, I mean, by then we were really tired,
Yeah.
which was ironic because like obviously the 5K is the next day. So we went home to the hotel and I think I had chicken nuggets like from the food court. Look, when I'm not feeling good, which is a lot at Disney, honestly, my safe foods are chicken tenders / chicken nuggets and French fries. Like French fries are kind of the only thing I can eat when I don't feel well. I don't know what it is, but they're okay. So I ate a lot of those over the course of the weekend, and we tried to go to bed because we were tired, but then suddenly like could not fall asleep. So if the
Yeah.
5K was probably the most sleep deprived we were the entire weekend because we couldn't quite get to sleep when we wanted to.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Definitely happens. I think one last note about is that I went to Morimoto for the
Ooh,
first
yeah.
time for dinner, and it had been on my list to try because everyone raves about it for so long. And I got the lobster noodle bowl.
Ooh,
Oh
that
my
sounds
god,
good.
was it? It was so good. It was huge. First of all, I finished most of it, but there was still like a little left. There was like over like a soup too, which it was
Mm.
chili, so that was lovely. Oh my god, it was so good. I would absolutely go back. That needs to be like in the rotation now, because it was so good. Big fan. I understand it lives up to the hype in a lot of ways. And that wasn't really what I was looking at when I was looking at the menu going into it either, which is kind of funny that it kind of that I was like, "Oh, well there's noodles in that." So, and like it's a nice portion of lobster cuz lobster's expensive. So,
Mhm.
I felt like um yeah, it was definitely super tasty, but then it was, off to the races, off to the Betty Bye time going into 5K day.
Yeah.
This day was the obviously the start to
Mhm.
the festivities and the races. This is the day that got the coldest in the morning and also kind of set the precedent for how cold things are going to feel because, in all the chatter the last several weeks, last month of like, oh, marathon weekend's going to be cold. It's like, well, 40 looks great. And like when I'm from Minnesota, it's like, well, it's just a different type of cold.
Mhm.
It was
It
chilly.
was so cold. And look, we were both part of a group costume. I have
Yes.
never been so happy about my cold backup for said group costume.
Yes.
I wore look, I know I live in the South now and I have no cold tolerance, but it was very cold and I wore tights with then I had a like running like a thick that day was my thinner long sleeve, which
Mm,
then had my group costume t-shirt that I had planned on wearing originally by
mm,
itself. And then on top of all of that, I put on a Dalmatian onesie plus a beanie and gloves and then stuck like hot hands, but I had the mega warmers, which are like triple the size of the hand ones. They're literally the size of like your whole hand. And I
Mm,
stuck those in my pockets and like inside my clothes.
it was chilly.
Mhm.
Um, that was the day I had a headband on, like a
Like the
ear
ear
warmer
headband, yeah.
yeah, headband, gloves, I wore layers, pants, like and I had a Mylar. I actually didn't because I had bought some fleece blankets from home. I only used one actually waiting for the full. So yeah, it was definitely chilly and it like because the coldest part of the morning was actually when we were out on the
Yeah, it
course
just
is
kept
when it
getting
was
colder.
yeah, it was 27 degrees
Oh my
when we were
gosh, it
waiting
really
in
got that low?
when we were I think it might have been the feels like that was
Oh, I
27.
was like, I didn't think we actually got below freezing, but the
No,
feels like probably, yeah.
yes, the feels like was 27. It was while we were waiting for the old hag in Epcot. But we were part of the big Rise and Run group costume of the 101 Dalmatians. Trying to get all the puppies together for a photo was hilarious.
Mhm.
Bob slayed Cruella DeVille, glitter lipstick and all. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was so great. And yeah, had a, the hot hands were hot handsing.
Yeah, we got a photo with Bob, we got a photo with
Yes.
John.
Yes.
I think that was it for that
Yes.
morning.
We're like in the front left of the big group puppy
Mhm.
costume or thing. Like second-ish row, I think.
Yeah.
I have
We're
my
pretty easy
dog.
to spot, I think,
Yeah, my
because
my dog has a yellow collar on. So
and my onesie has a red collar, but my shirt underneath, which is maybe visible, had a purple collar, so
yes. Yes, it was great. But um I was in Corral A for the first 2 days.
you lucky
So
duck.
yeah, that was cool.
I was in B, so I don't know how they did that or why, but that was pretty great.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Um, so loaded up, we got things started, and really once I started running, um,
Did you feel
is
better?
when yeah, things felt a lot better. Um, yeah, yeah. Once I started running, things were pretty good. I did leave my gloves on the whole race
Mhm.
because I bought a pair of gloves for each, like
Race to throw
assuming I
away.
would. Yes. I kept using the same ones through the half, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the ones I meant to throw away during the full, I think made it into my vest.
Oh,
And like
okay.
I kept them.
Mhm.
So that's nice because then I don't have to go rebuy if Princess is cold, which I hope it's not, but we're not spiraling about that yet. But what became our unofficial little strategy here was the character fairy, where I would run ahead, get in the line, and then Hannah and Ben would catch me. We'd take a group picture, and then I'd skedaddle.
It's all about who
Uh,
you know, people. It's all about who you know.
True. Because like I have no problem with that as long as not everybody's trying to take their own solo picture with the thing.
Mhm.
And I know that's probably pretty good etiquette. It's like you want to take one big group picture, fine, or even like group, and then like I would step out and kind of start ferrying on, and then
Mhm.
Hannah and Ben might take one together. So like we were very efficient with it. So and then I had started getting like like as people were running past them. I didn't get a full leak until the half marathon. But as people were running past characters, they would be like, "Oh, okay, this one is here." Like it was artist Mickey was first, and the old hag from Snow White was next. Her line was long
Mhm.
because you don't see her everywhere, and it was hilarious because Pinocchio was right after, but like literally right after, like you get like the
The
lines
lines practically
touch.
merged.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Because then we got the old hag, then we went to Pinocchio.
While wait, wait,
Uh,
wait. While we were waiting for the old tag, we spotted our running coach, Kristen,
yes, we did.
and she didn't we had to shout at her. She was
Yeah,
she was resting on a bench. Um
smart.
yes, good for her. And we by the time eventually it clicked. She was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah,
And
takes a
then
minute.
they were all struggling to try and open a thing of hot hands for I don't
Yes.
remember which member of their group, but
Yeah.
I was at this point I had gotten hot from all of my hot hands and I was like, here, do you want mine? It's already hot. Like, whatever. And she did not realize that we like knew Kristen and weren't just like randos on the course. And she was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm fine. And then Kristen goes, no, we know this human. It's okay.
Like, yo, like,
Yeah. So I handed off one of my mega warmers to one of Kristen's crew.
yes. So that was a ton of fun. We skipped the next character, which I think was
Who did we
like,
skip?
was it Thumper from Bambi? I think it was a
Oh,
kind of a long,
maybe.
yeah, I think it was Thumper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't see Thumper all the time because they had also announced this time that they were doing kind of a decades thing like they did last year,
Mm-hmm.
but only up through like the 90s. I think is about accurate, maybe early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go all the way to 100 years of Disney the way they did last year. And so kind of you knew kind of what to expect
Mm-hmm.
in terms of characters. Like we knew that this would be kind of oldies this day. So that was the only one that we skipped. Whatever was between Canada and the UK and that little like where sometimes they have it open as a festival
Mm-hmm.
center, not really so much anymore. That little doorway.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. And skipped that. Then the next one that we did was Panchito and Jose. We're getting kind of toward Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, kind of by Communicore, like
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
We almost skipped it.
Yeah. I
Almost.
was like, oh, like that's not too bad.
We thought the line was short, and then you were obviously still ahead of us, but like
Yeah.
we kept going. We're like, wow, this was longer than we thought as we walked to the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. I also was like, oh, it's not too bad. I'm like, it kind of is, but
It was a
we did
cute
that.
photo. I think that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite group photos we took.
Yeah. That was a good one. And like you don't see them everywhere. I've gotten them before, but I think a wine and dine, but you don't see them everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just kind of sitting out there vibing. And then we both separately did the Spaceship Earth photo
Mm-hmm.
stop. That's something I always recommend doing. They get you through really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
so the line will look a lot longer. For the 5K, there's not really a sweep risk unless like you're in like active medical distress. So wait in the line
Go
for
for
it
it.
because it's really just a snap and go. There is no like they won't take one on your personal, so it's a snap and go. So
Plus, what's
it's
the
definitely
rush? Where are you gonna go when you get back to the parking lot?
true. So this is something else. So if you're starting in the first half of the race, so starting in A, starting in B, remember how like a month ago we talked about bus times and whatnot? They don't restart until 6:30
Mm-hmm.
on 5K day. So you can race for time. That's wonderful. You can, but you're going to be waiting to get on that bus anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we had like the hag line was really long, we're like, well, where are we going to be anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Waiting.
Waiting in the cold, getting cold.
Yes, getting colder, waiting. So we kind of just figured that that's what we would do is kind of, live it up, get through the lines.
Just to like emphasize how slow we went. Not just slow like running pace, but like how much time was eaten up by us waiting in lines and stuff. And like we really, as Natalie puts it, party paced this thing.
Yep.
And my 5K time is only 13 minutes shorter than my half, or not my half, my 10K.
I was gonna say.
Than my 10K. So like we really like had a party and enjoyed the 5K.
Yeah, it was your first Disney 5K.
It
So
was. Honestly, I mean, do I need to always be waking up for like that many? And I know they sell out. The 5K was genuinely one of my favorites just because like there was no pressure. We were just out there to have fun. We had all the time in the world. And other than being cold in the corral, which Ben was way colder than I was because I had my onesie, it was so fun.
yeah, it was a blast because I kind of remember how when I was like, I'm gonna start retiring from the 5K. uh we thought. Yeah, no, my 5K was only 2 minutes slower than my 10K. We had fun. We had fun. which I was just looking up and then I forgot that I'd also pulled the results from last year. Did not see my result. Pooped myself a little bit because it was there, and then I realized I was looking at 2024s as well, where I did not do the Dopey challenge, so I would not be found there. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. Definitely like a great kickoff to the weekend, and it's like that first finish line you go across. It's like, wow, like we just have all kinds of goodness to come from here on out. Got the finish line photos. I actually didn't do any of the pre or post characters this time because I had a breakfast reservation at 7:45. So went directly to the Contemporary for Steakhouse 71 breakfast, which was good.
It's so good.
So good. I got Walt's hash and then some tea to warm up because that was nice. It was a peppermint tea, which that's not my very favorite. However, it felt so nice to drink that I didn't care.
I do not like peppermint tea.
I like it. I just like if I'm gonna do because I didn't want to do a caffeinated tea because you have to just watch when you want to go to bed and whatnot and what's gonna keep me wired. Kind of felt nice, kind of really warmed me up on the inside because then I had to walk back to the Magic Kingdom to get on a bus to go back to my resort. At the time, I would have just taken the monorail, but the monorail was down.
Oh,
What was interesting though is because I saw how they do monorail maintenance, and this is so geeky, but like this little like kind of cart thing, and like how they like go between the two lines, and I don't know, I thought it was really cool, and it kept me occupied while I was watching them do that as I was walking in the cold to Magic Kingdom to get on the bus to Port Orleans Riverside. So I had to work that day. Nice part about the time zone difference is that still kind of started work at a pretty normal time even after breakfast, and got through my work day. I spent the most of the first half of it in my room, and then I did go to my favorite place to work from home, which is Epcot, later on in the afternoon, and sent a message to my boss saying maybe we're going to find maybe there will be a Pluto spotting again, because last year during marathon weekend Pluto photobombed me during a Teams call. Was not called at all during that time, and Pluto did not photobomb, so it's okay. All good. But I literally sent like, because the way I was positioned had Spaceship Earth like behind me because I will work in the World Celebration Gardens. There's outlets there. It was a little chilly because then I eventually did retreat to the indoors. Was going to go to Communicore Hall.
it was
And
closed.
this might be the only person who's ever said this, but I was sad that Communicore Hall was closed. But they were getting it ready for Festival of the Arts and getting things ready for the Broadway setup, which I've now seen some pictures of. Looks really, really cool. So I forgive them for this. It's fine. Just, then made my way back to kind of did a little loop around the World Showcase, thinking of some other little like hidden like spots. I was working behind the America Pavilion, and then did take a small break to do single rider for Ratatouille. Was through the line within 10 minutes, which I think
It
the
was very
posted wait
fast.
was like 70.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And, took a call. My friends Travis and Amanda, I was in a call, like waiting for the bus to go back to Riverside, and they were kind of like and I was on mute. So like they're like yelling, like, "Oh, is that Natalie from the Stride Sisters podcast?" And then I'm like, I'm in a work call. They're like, "Oh shoot." So that was hilarious. That was hilarious. Yeah, it was just, yeah. And
Gotta
then
love it.
yeah, gotta love it. But yeah, definitely a good day. Good day to have a good day. And that was the end of like my work because then I was on PTO the rest of the time. So got back and went to bed. I don't really remember what I did in terms of a dinner that night because I got a lunch at Connections Cafe. Again, that's something that I'm a proponent of that not everybody is. I like it. I'd have to think about what I got that day. I don't remember.
I think you were winging it, so I
I
imagine you
did
got
wing it, yeah.
something like from the food court or something.
I got pre-bed beignets.
There you go.
That is true, as is tradition. Yeah, I know I got that, but I'd like to think I had, but I think when I got my connections order, it was kind of like a real, like, close to end of midday, so maybe all I really wanted, like, after that was a beignet. Nice.
Yeah.
So, that was about it for me.
Ben and I went to Magic Kingdom after the 5K. And we rode a lot of rides. We were very efficient. We also spent like probably almost the first like 30 minutes in there just taking like photos near the castle. Me like beelining it to whichever photo pass photographer didn't have a line, which I mean, that early and it was cold, like there was plenty of them. We also got some photos with the golden Pluto statue with our 5K medals, which was cute.
Ooh.
And then we rode, let me give you the rundown. We rode Buzz Lightyear. Then I believe we rode Space Mountain through the standby queue because it had like just gone down, come up or something. It was a very, very short wait, like maybe 20 minutes max.
Mm.
And then after we did that, we decided to ride Tron. We did not buy an individual for Tron. We just got in the standby queue, which was
Oh,
supposed to be like I think the posted wait was like 70 or 80 minutes when we got in, but it took us less than 40.
wow.
So we were crushing it.
Yeah.
And then after that, we rode Haunted Mansion and had lunch. I think we might have had lunch before we rode Haunted Mansion, pretty sure, at Columbia Harbor House. I love it
Nice.
there. It's always on our list. We have to eat there, or it's like almost on the tier of like Dole Whip. If we don't eat there, then it wasn't a Disney trip. We really enjoyed that. Then we decided we were gonna ride, um, People Mover, because I think we rode Space Mountain again with our Lightning Lane, and then we were like, "Oh," it went down at some point. We were like, "We'll ride People Mover, maybe by the time we get, off of People Mover, it'll be back up." We
Mm.
do that, which means that while we were on People Mover, the ride was down. And we
Oh.
so while we were going through, if you don't know this, or if you've ever been curious, you know that People Mover goes through Space Mountain, like, you can see parts of the ride. Obviously, it's dark, but, like, you can see some of the lights. You can see in some angles, like, the actual people in their ride vehicles, and it's very fun. But if the ride is down, they turn all the lights on inside that dome, and
Indeed.
you can see everything. You can see the tracks. They actually have I mean, I imagine on purpose because, like, where the track goes past inside while it's going around, like, sort of the perimeter of the dome, they actually have walls up, so it looks like that at some point they maybe blocked that view, but
Mhm.
then there's sections of those wall that are plexiglass instead of
Yeah.
blocked, so you can see it all. It looks it's like a cool behind the scenes backstage moment, if you
Yeah.
will. It's like somehow backstage and not backstage because 'cause you're actively on a ride that is
Yeah.
working and also seeing a ride that's not.
It's cool.
Then we rode after that, we went and rode Pirates, because we were getting pretty close to calling it for the evening, needing to go back for, like, dinner and bed. Like, by this point, according to my photo log, we were on Pirates at 2:57 PM, so we were crushing it with how many rides we got in that morning, and then after
Yeah.
Pirates, we got, on Jungle Cruise,
Nice.
rode Jungle Cruise, and then we got some Dole Whip for the road to go back to, our resort. We also had, the egg rolls at some point. I do not remember at what point during the day we had egg rolls, but we did. And we had both the pizza and the burger? Cheeseburger?
Cheeseburger. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're delicious. There was people, like, ragging on the pizza ones being, like, not good or basic or, like, whatever. Look, are they anything, like, spectacular amazing? No, but if you like pizza, you're gonna like them. They're way better than
True.
a Hot Pocket.
Ooh, true.
So
It's been a while since I've had the pizza ones.
I really enjoyed the pizza one. I also really enjoyed the cheeseburger one. I think cheeseburger spring roll is slightly better than the cheeseburger pods at
I agree.
Satouli's because I think they're not that the ones at Satouli's are like dry, but the spring rolls are for sure not, because I don't want to say the M word. But they were very, very tasty. So I'm glad I got those in. And then, yeah, we went back. I think, again, we had emergency chicken tenders and french fries before bed. Ben probably had gumbo or chicken parm or something. Ben had something different every night. And for the first couple nights, all I ate was chicken tenders and french fries because I was just like not feeling well. But
Which day was it that did you end up at Captain Cook's?
yes, we did. Maybe that was that one
I'm trying to
night.
remember because I remember
You're right.
seeing your
You're right. It was that night because I wasn't feeling very good, and you had I told you we had ridden all these rides, we were about to head back, and you're like, "Wait, you're in the Magic Kingdom area. You have to go to Captain Cook's because it's so close and then go home." And we did. Ben and I both got the meatballs,
oh, they're so good.
and they were very tasty, but again, I wasn't feeling great. So
Mhm.
I only made it through, at least while we were there, I made it through maybe half of it. And
Mhm.
I ordered a chicken noodle soup. Do not recommend. The chicken noodle soup is terrible.
Oh, no.
It's not like it's genuinely probably serves a purpose for people who are looking for something like they're
Bland.
actually sick, or yeah, looking for something bland, because it is the weakest like chicken noodle soup broth I've ever had. Like, in my opinion, even like more watered down than like if you got, Campbell's or like Progresso or something out of a can.
Oof.
Have strong feelings about this soup. I was so upset that I didn't like it. And
Good to
then, yeah,
know.
I ended up taking all my food to go and finished it later when we got back to the room because I was feeling a lot better by the time we got there. But
Hmm.
you're right. I did forget that we went there that night.
Because I think the only reason I remembered that was because I was watching your location because I had your merch bag, and then I was like, "You know what? I'm just
Oh,
gonna drop it off at your front
yeah.
desk," because I was like, like, yeah,
It
I'll
was
just
getting
drop it
late.
off."
Yeah. It took a lot longer to get
Yeah.
through all the things and like get on and off the monorail and then get on a bus and like
Yeah.
wait for the bus. And
Yeah, because I was thinking like, "Oh, it's the witching hour." It's like the witching hour starts at, like, 3:30, 3 o'clock of, like, should I get and I always think of it
mhm,
as it usually ends up when I'm at Epcot, and it's like, if my Guardians gets called right now, should I get in this line? Of, like, you have to think of how long it's gonna take for them to get through the VQ,
mhm,
how long it's gonna take for you to get through the pre-show, the whole ride, and then you have to think of, then I walk to the front, I go to my bus, like, ho like, kind of like doing the math of when am I getting to bed?
mhm,
Because the thing about Dopey also is the cumulative fatigue, and this is where I actually had a hard time, or 10K day or going into 10K day with the sleep,
mhm.
and yeah, I had a hard time
Yeah.
with that.
I looked at my mileage from that day, and I honestly, we must have done pretty well in Magic Kingdom, not backtracking too much, because I've had days where I've been in Magic Kingdom and walked 15 miles, and my total mileage count for the like that day was just barely over 10. And a good chunk, I mean, like some part of that came from the 5K, so
Mhm.
we did like a half of that kind of day in Magic Kingdom. But yeah, the Ben and I will have to consult and discuss whether or not we would do this order again, because my feet were really already starting to bother me in the half, and by the second half of the marathon, which we'll get into next week, but my feet were unhappy. And I think that was a lot of park time because just standing hurts your feet.
Yeah. Yeah. That is always a discussion point of, like, how to do it, how to plan your business trip,
Mhm.
um, being, of Dopey of, like, "All right," because I actually have a similar story of walking too much on 10K day,
Mhm.
going into the half where we had a couple things going on there. But speaking of, uh,
10K. Another group
yay!
costume.
Yes, another group costume. It's been nice because now that we're trying to think up things for Princess, it's like, wow, all the thinking was done for me this time. I just went and bought things. But this was the big Miss Congeniality costume.
We got
So
I got a lot of comments on this costume.
yes, same. Some of them were correct, and some of them were just like, "Oh, you're Miss Piggy."
Someone did ask me that.
I was like, "No, but I'm going to reuse this getup to be Miss Piggy." Thank you for recognizing that.
I
But
got a lot of Lady Liberty, which wasn't
same.
incorrect, but also wasn't. So,
Yeah. But I was Miss Nebraska. Hannah was Miss Georgia. I was a little late to the group picture because it took me a bit to get myself together. This was so for the 5K and 10K, I woke up to the alarm. This one, it was a hard time getting out of bed type of wake up to the alarm. The next 2 days, I woke up before my alarm, so it was never heard by my mom. She heard, I think, me eventually leave, but she did not hear anything before that. So there was like a couple girlies around 4 o'clock who I met and got to take pictures with our states and whatnot. Learned that my Mod Podge, I was not the only one who
had a crafting mishap.
Yes, because I did the spray Mod Podge to seal my state after I had painted it. And Hannah and I came to the conclusion that I was probably something in like that keeps
the
it
accelerant,
pressurized. Yes.
Or propellant.
Yes, that did not play nicely with the foam on the board. So it kind of like, I don't want to say warped, but it kind of
bubbled.
It bubbled. And I was so sad because I'm not the crafty one here. And the fact that I had made it through the craft and like mostly in one piece before that was like a lot.
Yeah.
And I was so sad because then what I did is I tried to fill in the bubbles with my gray paint. And then mostly I cared about the Nebraska looking good. Because then I noticed, because then on the back, I didn't really care because I fixed a strap onto the state.
Good job.
And by strap, I mean a little piece of ribbon. And I should have done a better job with that because like the one thing pulled off almost immediately, but that also ate into the foam. But it was the back, so I didn't care. So I think it was the accelerant in the can. I was not the only one who had this problem. I think almost everyone I had talked to also had that. So for next time, if you're working with foam, maybe not.
If you're working with foam, you need all of your materials to be water-based, not oil-based. The oil will interact with the foam, and so just keep it all water-based. And if you do use a spray, just make sure you actually follow the directions on the can that say to keep it at least, usually it's at least 12 to 18 inches like away from the surface, and you should be okay. Because I used spray sparkle glitter paint on mine, and that was fine, but I kept it far away.
Yeah, I actually mostly followed the directions except for the, hey, do a spray test before. Because if I had done the spray test on the back the way I should have, I probably would have found that out. And I would have been like, all right, we're not sealing it. It's fine. It didn't come home with me anyway. It lived it went into the trash at Port Orleans Riverside.
I kept mine. I'm going to use it for a future costume.
See, yours still, had mine like kind of turned out better. I would have, but I think I can do better if I were to, repeat this costume. Anyway, so in terms of pre-race characters, I got there a little later. I don't think I got on a bus till like 3:20-ish this morning. So got there a little later. The only pre-race character I did was Jiminy Cricket, but that was one of my challenges from my boss.
Whoop, whoop.
So challenge achieved. He was also on vacation, and he was usually when I was getting up and responding to whatever he sent me. We're very friendly with each other. So I was getting his vacation pics and I was sending mine. He's like, I was just going to bed when you sent me that. Great. Love that for you. So I was like, challenge achieved. At least that half of it. I did not see at all the Bernard and Beatrice from the rescue. I did not see them at all. I saw people dressed as them but they were just too far away for me to like take a picture with them. And then also this time Hannah and I didn't meet up on the course at all. Actually, not till after the race at Port Orleans. But I stopped for a few things. The ugly duckling, who is very cute. He's not ugly, so like rude. He's so cute. But I stopped for the ugly duckling the Tweedles, Tux Goofy on the boardwalk. I got Donald in France because I felt very fancy with my little torch, which mine was battery powered because so it actually kind of worked when I was walking around my room that morning to like try to be quiet and whatnot and not turn lights on except for like the one in the bathroom behind a door. I was using my torch to light the way, and it was very nice actually. I wish I had left that out for other days. But got Donald in France because he was looking all fancy too.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Hook and Smee.
I also got them and Donald.
And I got Peter Pan and Wendy.
I did not get Peter Pan and Wendy.
Their line was super short. At least I don't know if I'm misremembering because I don't have a picture on my phone, but that doesn't mean that there's not one that exists. So am I like
we
just
we contemplated because again, yes, the line was pretty short. It was like right as you were approaching Spaceship Earth again.
Yeah.
But I think we were pretty cold because actually I dressed less warmly for the 10K than I did for the 5K. So I was actually colder during the 10K. It took me a really long time to warm up. I was pretty upset about it. And so by the end, I was just like, I just want to be done. I just want to go home and get in a hot shower.
True. Yeah, that one, I took my time with it for the most part. I think that was one of the races where I didn't stop for anything in the first mile. And this is one I didn't have leaks for ahead of time either. So I ripped a really fast first mile. I'm like, all right, champ, settle down. Settle down. It's kind of hard to not get all like wrapped up in the hype and whatnot of the race, but it was another fun one.
Ben and I walked the 10K. It wasn't the plan, actually. The plan was to walk the first half and then run walk the second half because we thought about doing it in the reverse, but then we're like, but because it's cold, if we run walk the first half and walk the second half, we're going to get really cold if we get sweaty. But then when we got to the second half, we were in Epcot past that like 3 mile-ish marker, and we were like, you know what? We got plenty of time. Let's just have fun again. And we just kept going.
Yeah, I think I did a good amount more running than I'm not going to say than I expected to. I probably did expect to do about the amount of running I did. Because the way I trained was run walk for all 4 days.
That's how I trained as well.
But with like extended walks and whatnot. So that's pretty much how I did execute on it, and felt really good. So great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how that went. So went back, met up with Hannah at French Quarter because I'd already gotten on a bus because I think I was like
you were literally the bus right in front of us. Like they cut the line off 2 people in front of me and they were like, you're gonna have to wait for the next one.
Yeah, it was like I think I was starting to get like really chilly.
It was cold.
So I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like I gotta scram. But I was like, I'll just wait in the the French Quarter lobby for you guys, which you were followed promptly behind.
Yeah. For this one, originally the plan was just to wear like the dress and the headpiece and stuff. I added leggings underneath and my thickest running long sleeve that I have under the dress. I was so committed to wanting the costume to be visible that I like decided not to wear a sweatshirt, which was ill-advised. But again, I just stuck a bunch of hot hands in my dress and that helped. But my arms never got warm. My arms were cold the entire time.
Wow.
I had gloves on the whole time. And I had, well, maybe not the whole time, pretty much the whole time, I think. And I had like the ear warmer thing because it was mostly under my crown, so you couldn't see it. But yeah, it was a good race. We had basically all the same photo opportunities that you did, that we took. And that one, because I was so much colder, I just wanted to get back so much. And then
I saw Puppet Runner.
You did? I mean, I saw him every morning before the race, like standing greeting people. Well, not every, because
he was a character stop on the in front of the yacht club. So I took a picture with him.
That's cute.
And his little Remy. I love the Remy
Yeah.
so much.
Afterwards, though, I went there was the Run Fit Fab pop-up was that day, and I wasn't an official volunteer in that, but also Kristen was great and let us hand out stickers. So if you are listening to this podcast because you scanned one of our stickers,
Welcome.
please let us know. Also welcome. So I spent a while doing that. I brought Ben with me. I felt really guilty that Ben was spending time like filling bags and stuff rather than like going to the parks. So he did end up, after we got all the stickers done, he did end up leaving and having his own park day at Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and rode some stuff by himself. And he basically walked on to Rock and Roller Coaster, which was exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and while we were there, we were setting up for 9, 10. Started at 12, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so we were setting up for like almost 3 hours.
Wow.
The bags didn't take that long. The bags got once we look, I'm an engineer. You know. There was a little chaos of like setting up like how do we want to do this, and I was like, all right, assembly line, like we
Yeah.
got there. We had like some little groups, and then we formed like a lot of really long lines that were like 2 bags wide, and then there'd be a walkway, and then another line of 2 bags wide, and then a walkway, so you could just like go up down up down up down, dropping whatever you
Love it.
had into the box or into the bag. And then Natalie arrived. I greeted people. I basically just assumed volunteer status at that point. I did not have a shirt and I did not know the workout, but I greeted people. I got I was never a cast member, but I really nailed my 2-finger point. And I was pretty chipper. Bob and all of the Rise and Run crew were there to record. So they were there early. I got to talk to all of them. And yeah, once Natalie arrived, we did the workout. You said a little hard. I got sweaty,
Yes.
but
I got sweaty.
it was mostly, I would say, like core and stretching. Minus maybe
There was some glute
yeah, the
stuff.
glute stuff.
My butt hurt the
Yeah.
next day. A little bit.
So core and stretching plus butt stuff, as Kristen puts it.
It was butt stuff Friday. We had to.
Did you enjoy? You cried during the meditation.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I
I
enjoy.
held your
Oh, I
hand.
definitely. I know it was cute. I totally enjoyed it. It was great, and it was all the things where, like, I kind of fell off a little the last month of
Mhm.
dopey training with strength training. Didn't do super great job about it.
Hence the butt being sore.
Yes. This COVID comes into that a little bit, and also like when I was doing with the Sims and whatnot, the first thing to go for me was like a strength day,
Mhm.
especially when I'm working them around. But yeah, so I was a little sore after, but yeah, I cried during the meditation, like, talking about like, this is where you're meant to be, and like, how you progress from a boulder into throughout, like, how you train and whatnot. So yeah, I cried a little. It was all good. But yeah, I had some stuff to handle in the morning that and just kind it's not like, actually I had some like little thing for work too that I had to handle in the morning, and then I got there, I think, fashionably like 10ish minutes before.
Yeah. It was
But
it was very, very busy by the time you arrived, and you were like,
yes.
Where'd you put your stuff?" And I was like, "I don't have stuff, so you're gonna have to just find a spot."
Like, all right, I will find a spot for two. Talked to some really nice girlies near me. Everyone was so, so, so nice. Really enjoyed the live Rise and Run recording. We
Mhm.
were like front and center. I felt like paparazzi because I was like taking a picture. I'm like, our friends, the Rise and Run podcast. That was so much fun. Learned that it's really normal to just shoot it for an hour before pressing record. Thought that was like a us problem. It's not. It's like, yeah.
We feel like we're really organized. We have outlines. We plan ahead of what we talk about. We didn't used to. We do now. And yet it
Yes.
still takes us forever to get started.
Yeah. So apparently that's normal. But it was a lot of fun. Because we were like right in front of Jack. So we talked to her after, and she was like, I was watching your facial expressions the whole time. Because I like it was,
You're
I don't
very
know.
animated.
I am. Also got to meet, especially this day, I feel like is the day I met the most like listeners. Which was really sorry if I was weird, first of all.
No.
Um, sorry if I was like at all like it's very odd to me for somebody who I recognize but like might not recognize. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase that. It's a still a new sensation for me to have somebody who I recognize but don't recognize come up to me. Like most times when it's like, "Oh my god, Natalie," it's like somebody who I talk to a good amount on Instagram and like but like it's like, "Oh, like I'm a listener, and like it's like so great to meet you." I'm like, "Oh my god." Every single time it was like, "Oh my god." And we talked to John from Rise and Run about this too. He's like, first of all, he's like, "Oh, you guys going to be up with us next year?" We're like, um and then he's like, "Yeah, isn't it kind of interesting how people just come up and they're like they recognize you and like you may or may not recognize them or they have some facial similarities, but it was great. I will be less weird next time,
I don't think we were weird.
hopefully. No, I think I'm being hard on myself, but still, like, if I was, like, a little, like, weird or, like,
If the
awkward,
conversation was short, it was probably because we were internally panicking into like, how do you converse with the humans?
yes. Also slap happy, also, but no, it was so great to meet people. It, like, makes my heart, like, so, like, warm on the
Mhm.
inside, like, that there are people listening and, like, caring and, like, wanted to, like, made, like, the time to come up to see us.
Mhm.
Like, oh my god, it still is, like, overwhelming. In a way that in the best way,
Yeah.
in the best way. So, definitely don't be a stranger if you do see me. I just can't promise I'm gonna be normal yet. But, I'm friendly.
Mhm.
I am friendly. I'm just like, "Hee hee."
And shout out to
I like it.
Shanda, who came and
Yes.
saw us at the pop-up and asked for a picture, and she
No,
sent us a lovely message of how much she's been enjoying the podcast, the day
I
before,
know.
and I cried in
Yes,
Animal
and then I
Kingdom.
cried.
So, we love you very much, and we're very proud of you.
Yeah, we're very proud of what you're able to accomplish.
Hmm.
Oh, after the pop-up, I kinda helped, I helped with some of the takedown of the bags because I
Mhm.
then kind of felt bad. I was like, "Okay, now," I had felt bad that I wasn't there for, like, the setup, so I'm like, "Okay, I will help with the organization of the, like, sorting and takedown." So that was
It
fun. It
was
was kinda
like
nice to
live
chat.
hungry hippos. We would just
Yes.
dump bags onto the table, and there's, like, 5 people surrounding it trying to grab whatever thing they're in charge of, and it was like, "Ha, ha,
Yes.
ha."
Yeah. Like, I have the Allen bracelets, I have the, R stickers, and then, like, I have the, cards, and I'm stacking them, so we got through it, it was great, and then there was, like, a little Wicked sing-along, there was, like, a beautiful balloon arch and stuff
Mhm.
like that, so it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again,
Mhm.
next year, and then because I'm full of good decisions, I decided to walk it to Hollywood Studios because I walked from Hollywood Studios to get to the Swan.
Mhm.
It was at the Dolphin, though,
Yeah.
but the Swolphin,
Yeah.
uh, complex, and I walked it both ways, and I learned that I put probably a little too many steppy steps on my feetsies that day
Mm.
and was a little underfueled. So, I got Ronto wraps,
Yum.
and I had the normal one, and I also had the plant-based one. The plant-based one had, like, just all veggies in there.
Mhm.
It was so good.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ooh.
Like, it was the zucchini in there for your main thing and, like, all the flavors and whatnot. They had tzatziki, I think, or something at least tasted
Mm.
like tzatziki. It was delicious. It had spice to it.
Yum.
Good. And then
I'll
the
try
normal
it.
one just slaps
Yeah.
all the time. But met up with my friend Travis. We were sitting around while I was munching on my Ronto wraps and watching the stormtroopers come by, watching kids interact with them. We had Ray near us who was like hiding out by the stormtroopers or from the stormtroopers, and like she would like peek around the corner and she was like standing up behind us. So that was really neat too. And just watching kids like kind of run up to the stormtroopers or try to run up to Ray and show her something. It was really cute. We tried to get on Rock and Roller Coaster and then that went down. Um,
Yeah.
happened. So we saved the Muppets, or we did the Muppets, and then I called it a day because Travis was running the standalone full, so he had a little more flexibility than I did in terms of bedtimes. And that was it from there, for me. But yeah, a day you do Muppets is a good day.
Yeah, I didn't do a ton after the pop-up. I actually walked to Epcot to get on the Skyliner to get to Hollywood Studios because we met my parents at Hollywood Studios, and we
Oh.
met them in Galaxy's Edge. We did Smuggler's Run, and my parents we walked out of Smuggler's Run, we rode Single Rider, and still ended up together with behind,
Mm.
like, a family, and we ended up in the engineer spots as we always do. I don't remember a time that I haven't been an engineer. Yeah.
Even going through regular?
Even going through regular, I think I always end up engineer.
Mr. Natalie and I had that on our honeymoon trip. I was like,
Yeah.
so we could have just done it was like with our lightning lane too, but I wasn't gonna make a fuss because like
Supposedly in I think by 2026, there are plans to, like, redo the ride, with different, like, visuals and interactions to make the engineer spot less undesirable, so we shall see. It's gonna
I
have
actually don't
Mando.
mind it. Oh, I don't mind the engineer because I feel like you can do a good amount of the observing and like it's just like press button, press button. So in terms of if you're just trying to like vibe and like see what's going on,
Mm,
I don't mind it too much. It was just one of those I want like my husband to pilot the
yeah.
Falcon. But then that's also kind of stressful because like the rest of everyone's experience depends on you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, we did that. As we came out, we found my parents waiting, but really we found my mom because my dad had also decided to go through the single rider line. My
amazing.
mom can't ride any of the, like, simulator rides, they make her sick,
Hmm.
so she doesn't ride that. They had already ridden, I believe, Rise of the Resistance, and she said she could do the whole thing except for the room where you go into the elevator. She can't do that. So she just closes her eyes, and
Hmm.
that mostly helps with the motion sickness briefly, and then she was okay. Um, and honestly, we rode Star Tours, and I think we either had a we ended up going back to Hollywood Studios, so it, like, my brain's a little, like, fuzzy on which rides I rode on
Yeah.
which days that I was at Hollywood, but I don't think we really did much after that. Like, I we ate at ABC Commissary for dinner, and
Nice.
Ben had the buffalo chicken, grilled cheese,
Yes.
and it was good,
That's it.
very good,
Yeah.
and I had the grilled chicken sandwich that is basically a, caprese salad on top of chicken inside of a sandwich, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
Ever since they redid the menu or whatever, I don't really remember what it was like before, but everything there seems to be really tasty, and we had a really good experience, and it was very quick, so
I feel like Hollywood Studios is such a winner for quick service.
mm.
And not to say that it's not a winner for table service because I like the table service there too, but all of the little quick services are pretty good
Mhm,
in my opinion. Between Woody's, what you get in Galaxy's Edge, I think they're both good.
mhm,
Um, ABC Commissary is such a hit now. Like it's so funny that I feel like, and the little ones down Sunset Boulevard are good too.
mhm.
It's such a hit in a way that I feel like it used to maybe
Yeah,
maybe because it used to not be.
it wasn't.
So we're love it,
Yeah.
love that.
And then we left basically after that, like, we had a pretty short stint in there. Ben had more time, obviously, but I had a pretty short stint in the parks that day because we were
Yeah.
going to bed to be ready for the half.
Yes.
I
The
fell asleep
half.
so fast.
I think I actually did. Oh, this was the day because I also in my pant because this day was actually pretty nice outside.
Yeah, it was like
It was
I
the
mean, it was
warmest.
humid, but it was warm.
Yeah, it got up to I think 70
Mhm.
that day, so that was definitely pretty nice. And but I think that like the drastic change from the day, like I took a NyQuil at bedtime,
Oof.
and that took me out because I was afraid. I was a good 3 weeks post COVID, but still like it was kind of one of those like almost like a precautionary NyQuil.
Mhm.
Um, took me out.
Yeah.
Um,
Ben
I
should have
was
taken one. We
done.
had a family with, like, a small child, like, pack and play was delivered to the room, in the adjoining room to ours. that night, and it woke Ben up. Ben did not sleep well before the half.
Yeah, that's definitely tough because like I had taken like melatonin the night before as well and like my normal things, but yeah, not great sleep that night. But this night it was a lot better. And I woke up at I think 107 rip roaring ready to go. As one does. And so for the half, the costume was Mr. Goof himself. I wore a zippity tee, the Goofiest Challenge t-shirt, bright orange, and then I had a little headband, a skirt, and then leggings to wear. So that was wonderful. That day there was a chance of rain. It was like all like weekend. It was like the chance of rain, chance of rain, chance of rain. And I was like, is it going to hit during the race? It's going to hit before the race. So I had extra ponchos. So I had ponchos for Hannah and Ben too, that I brought with me.
We still
And
got rained
then,
on. It was sad.
yes. And it had started drizzling around when I got to the Epcot parking lot. And I was like, okay, just drizzling now. Cause I'm like, people who like, just drizzling now, it's fine. Though, and then it like stopped. I'm like, hey, great. And then like,
It really came down.
it was coming
It was
down.
like it started right as we were past security, but you know where the last bathroom is, and you go around what's left of the walls, like that have
Yeah.
everyone's names, or not their names, their photos on them.
Yeah.
We went around that bend where you come and start to go towards the chute that has porta potties and stuff.
Yeah.
That's when it started raining on us.
Oof.
So like by the time we made it to you, Ben was like, let's go to gear check. And I was like, no, we're beelining it to Natalie to get the ponchos. Then
Yeah.
we will go to gear check. Gear check was miserable because it was windy and rainy by then.
Yeah.
And so I put my poncho on right away. Luckily, my gear check bag already had my number on it, but all the Sharpies
Mhm.
stopped working. So Ben couldn't write his number on his bag. And there was no cast member saying like, doesn't matter, just give them your bag, like we'll figure it out, until we'd been standing there for a while and Ben had still not put on his poncho. So he was
I did not know
wet,
that.
trying to write on a bag that was also wet with a Sharpie that wasn't working. And I was just like, it doesn't matter, let's just get in line. Right as a cast member comes and says, like, doesn't matter, don't worry about the numbers, just get in line for a gear check. And we
Yeah.
did that and put that in. But I just, ugh, it was so annoying. And just it like stopped raining basically right as the race started. And I was so annoyed that we just had to stand in the corrals being wet, because I was a little bit damp underneath. It wasn't that bad, but the poncho would like, because I also had a Mylar around me around the poncho. And so I
Mhm.
think it was creating like somehow water like at my neck was gathering, and it was
Mm.
going straight down my sports bra, like down my
Ugh.
chest. And it was like, ugh. I dried off very
Yeah.
quickly once it stopped, like, and
Mhm.
once we ditched our ponchos, like, a few miles in. I kept them on because I was just, like, nervous it would start again, and we shoved them in the back of our vests, but just in case, I was not just about to throw it away and be at the will of Mother Nature, um,
Yeah.
but not a pleasant waiting experience. That was my least favorite. Even though the other ones were cold, I hated half morning. I was so annoyed.
Yeah. Besides that part, I was like, besides the like wind and rain and whatnot.
Yeah, you're like, "It's
Um,
just like home."
yeah, no kidding. Well, so we're waiting here, and I'm like, as long as they don't send Pelkey out on stage alone, that's when bad announcements are going to happen. And he says, so here's the thing.
Mhm.
So as long as we didn't have that, and then things were, I actually was there early enough. I don't think I've ever done this. I got all 4 characters pre-race and I went in the Dopey line twice.
Wow.
I also when I was taking a picture with Goofy, Run Disney Media was there. Like they have like different vests on, or like
Mhm.
kind of the people who take and the pictures look a little different. So that was kind of cool. It's like from the side, like type of photo.
Mhm.
More on that later. And yeah, I was definitely probably dressed a little warm for this, but whatever. Because I was a little worried about like how warm it was going to stay during the race. I kept my poncho on, I think, until I got to, gosh, my first character stop, and then I took it off, and then it became like a butt poncho.
Mm.
Because I couldn't get it small enough to fit in my waist pack, so butt bag meet butt poncho. And I had a skirt on over it, so like it's kind of like it didn't look like I had like
Mhm.
maybe it looked like I had a maybe I don't know. I don't really care
You were just
because
looking
I was
a little extra.
sick.
I was gonna go
Yeah,
with
that workout.
voluptuous.
Oh, ooh, good word. I was like, it was the workout the day before, actually. That's what was making me
Yeah,
look like that. Because I had a little bit of a sore butt.
we can attribute it to
Um,
Kristen. Definitely not the
exactly.
poncho.
Yeah, no, not at all. I had a little oopsie this morning in that I had some fuel that I'd put out on my chair and I thought was ended into my bag and it didn't. So I was a little short on fuel. So Hannah to the rescue.
Mhm.
Hannah was still in the room when this was discovered.
Yeah, I was really late. I just got later and later and later every race.
Yeah. So I was like, oh shoot. And I'm like and I had some in my little waist pack because I use the waist pack every single race. I just pin my bib to it.
Mhm.
And I had that and I had one of the things that I had put in my pockets, but the other two, like my honey stinger waffle to eat pre, and then um a whole pack of the like that would have been 2 servings for the goo was left on the chair.
Mhm.
So Hannah to the rescue. She bailed me out with a Morton and a goo she wasn't going to take anyway
I
from the
also had
pop-up
Cliff
bag.
blocks for you, but you turned the
Yeah.
Cliff blocks down.
Yes. I said, thank you, but no, thank you. I do not need them because that was what I did have, which was 2 servings. And then another goo in my thing. I'm like, okay, then even though I always say I take the sport beans, but I don't use them, I did use them on course because to like kind of get myself through the time. But other than that, all all was well.
Mhm.
But I could tell that I hadn't done a good job fueling the day before and walked too much because I was feeling a little like crispy and crunchy that
I
day.
remember those texts.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not feeling super great. And there's the nerves before the half. And again, I felt this before my first dopey, less so this time, but there's the nerves before the half, probably because like it's like, oh shoot, tomorrow is double this
Mhm.
of like,
It it
okay.
starts to feel serious.
Real.
I don't want to
Yeah,
imply that the 5K or the 10K are not also serious, but when you
they
tell
are.
people that you're running Dopey and you explain what that is to people who are not in Run Disney, the part that they get freaked out by is that you are planning to do a half and a full on back-to-back days. That's the part that seems to be scary to the general public. So
Yes.
it's almost like society makes you freak out.
Yes. So, and like, especially because I feel like I overanalyze how things feel at different parts where it's like I had to pee really bad
Oh my
too. So
god,
I was
yes.
like, I ended up stopping at a medical porta potty because there were only like 2 other people in line and they graciously let us use their porta john. And I was like, wow, I already feel like this and it's only whatever. But then my gel start or like the first gel I took it early before the 30 minutes. That kind of started kicking in. I'm like, okay, now I feel better.
Mhm.
But there's definitely was still some nerves. And also there was the differences and like the unknown of the course because this is the first time I've gone up through Old
Mhm.
Cone Alley and then that way to get to Magic Kingdom.
I
Um,
do not rate the course highly. Spoiler
I
alert
okay.
for me.
I think that between the half and the full, they got better with putting more lights out there because that was my biggest critique was
Mhm.
that it was dark. You
It
could
was
and
very dark.
people were dodging puddles and
And
like some
cones.
and well, yeah, because that's still an active roadway, even though it's before. I thought I was once that's 4 lanes,
It'll be
because
fine
that's
once
what
they're
they're
done with
doing.
construction.
Yes. And that'll be better. I'm not really worried about it, even if they continue taking us up that way.
Mhm.
Whatever. I think things will be fine. It'll just like growing pains.
Yeah.
Growing pains with it. But I don't know. I overall liked the approach probably because I'm obsessed with the Main Street. Okay.
The light parade?
I'm obsessed with the I'm obsessed with the electrical water pageant, and
Yes!
that was a leak that I had because that was something that they had the like a little sign up, it's like half full, like um electrical water pageant because it uses the same Baroque hoedown as the Main Street Electrical Parade, so I always want to call it the wrong thing.
Mhm.
But that made me so happy approaching Magic
It was
Kingdom.
so pretty.
It was awesome. I loved the music. I just loved it. And it made me so happy getting up into
I was actually, like, spoiler alert, sad during the full that it was already off by the time we passed it.
was
Yeah,
it?
by the time Ben and I did.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's sad.
It was fine for the half, but not the full.
Oh, gotcha. Interesting. I guess I didn't think about the fact that they would turn it
I mean, the
off. Oh,
light,
wow.
it's
Yeah, yeah, it's
daytime.
light out. So so we still run down the same side of Magic Kingdom. When we enter the same side on the right as we did when we came from the bus stalls. So they just kind of route you through that away. And there's nothing like running down Main Street. It was still dark. The castle was still lit up when I got there. So that was wonderful and beautiful and all things great in the world. I kind of liked dipping into Adventureland, lots of potties. I heard that from my friend Tori that actually a really solid set of potties because they had Flynn Rider and Rapunzel out in front of the Tangled bathrooms,
Mhm.
that there was basically no line to get into those bathrooms. So that was I heard that that was actually kind of like a hidden, like she's like, yeah, they were empty because I think people didn't think that they were being used because it
Mm.
was a backdrop for a photo pass. So, I feel like it was great running through the castle. It was great running down the other ramp. From there, the exit was behind like Buzz Lightyear, between Buzz Lightyear and Carousel of Progress. As I had anticipated it would be. I started feeling a little chafy chafe on my bra strap, so I stopped to fix that. I basically was like facing the course as if I could see runners coming at me as I'm like twiddling with that,
Mm.
and fix it so that like loosened some stuff so that things were a little bit, I put it on a little too tight. Um, so that was good. I'm glad I was like, I kind of caught, like, it was, first of all, it was just a little uncomfortable. I'm like, no, this is going to chafe and this
Mhm.
is going to hurt because I have the same type of bra for tomorrow. So I took care of that. Um, and then I liked it because we didn't, one part about the course I really liked was that when we exit Cone Alley, we go onto that overpass. Usually in the old way of the courses, that overpass, and then you go back down onto World Drive. And that it's around mile 8 usually, and that is not the most fun. Yes, we had to do the dip near the Contemporary Water Bridge this year, but whatever. I kind of liked not having to do that. And it was nice to get like one more boost of the TTC and the
Mhm.
crowds at the TTC cheering before then you were back to, more highway time. I think once like I liked it overall. I like this course though because I like the highway time. Because I like having elbow room to just kind of cook and run. It was a little snug at the beginning where we were on kind of like not even overpasses, but like where like you're gonna merge to get onto this road. So it's a one laner. So that was a little tight and a little snuggly, getting up to the first couple miles. And then like once we got out to the main highway area, it was beautiful. It was wonderful. But I overall like the course. I like that it's a little different. But yeah, I ran a pretty solid half for me. I actually ran faster than I was anticipating, where I had a couple more like cool down Natalie moments.
Mhm. No runner jail?
Slight runner jail. Slight runner jail. I had a lot of runner jail during the marathon.
I had to put Ben in runner jail during the half for, like, basically the whole second half of the half because he just kept being like, "We're almost
I bet.
there, we're almost done, like, this is so exciting." Like, he was just, he was loving it, and we caught we were with a pace group, so we were just like,
Nice.
but then he kept yeah, he just kept trying to pull ahead. I'm like, "We have to run a marathon tomorrow. Stop it."
Yeah, knock it off. When I got to the 15K marker, 9.3, I was like, guys, we only have 30 miles of Dopey to go, or Goofy. I got a couple groans at that. I was very excited to get under the 30-mile mark, but I guess a little less exciting for everyone else. But when I got into Epcot, I took a picture in front of Spaceship Earth, and that's actually when I was pulled aside by like Run Disney like official media to take a picture because they were standing next to the normal photo pass,
Mhm,
and so they pulled me aside basically to replicate what I had just done.
mhm,
So like again, those pictures look a little different than my other ones,
mhm.
so it was cool. It didn't make like the Facebook post, but that's okay. I'm just excited that I was like pulled aside because I feel special and I feel like all like sparkly glowy on the inside. It was really cool. And it was cool to like kind of wait for them to post stuff later on that day. And who knows, maybe it'll always make a post later. Yeah, it was really neat. They were singing the gospel choir, which was out all 4 days, was singing "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman when I approached, and
Mm.
that like hit me like a wave of emotions brick. And again, like the half usually kind of gets me. It usually kind of does, and it's like, oh god, what's tomorrow going to be like?
Mhm.
Because again, like it made me think a lot about how last year or last Dopey, how the half felt, and like that was super emotional. That was my second half marathon ever, and that was kind of like just like the feelings of like, this felt impossible and like improbable or impossible at times, improbable at others. And then like here I am like coasting across the finish line, like
Well
pretty
trained.
decent. Yeah, well trained, pretty decent time. I kind of clipped faster than I anticipated doing originally because I know I got to a certain point. I'm like, I have 2 hours to go 4 miles. I'm good.
Mhm.
So it was nice. I got Miko as I was entering the Epcot. Thought of my husband who unironically likes raccoons, just likes raccoon memes a lot. And I got Darkwing Duck backstage Epcot. So that was awesome too. And yeah, I then skedaddled out of there because that was when I was trying to make it to DAC for breakfast still.
Mm.
And then I thought I had till 11. And then as I'm like kind of getting ready to get out the door at 9:15, I'm like, I see it's 10. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. So how was your race?
It was good. As I alluded to earlier, was not thrilled with the course, just because it was so crowded and dark. It was fine because it really helped me keep control of, like, the excitement of being, like, halfway through the wake ups and starting, like, that race. It just feels really exciting. I like running to the castle, like, it's just really fun, but it was really tight. There was even in spots that I didn't think should be that tight, like, there were spots on the highway not far from Epcot where we were on ramps, off ramps that were just
Yeah.
so much tighter than I remember for being on the highway.
Yeah.
And so Ben and I walked a lot in the first half of the half. We walked pretty much the entire back section by Polly and Flo because it was so narrow. It was dark. I got blinded by a police car at one
Oh
point.
my God. Yes.
There was random cones from like potholes and stuff from construction, like in the middle of the road. And I just didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to fall or anything. So we did most of our running in the second half. My parents met us at the TTC to cheer us on. My mom, very hilariously, Ben was like, I don't know, like maybe 6 feet, if that, in front of me at this point as we're like running along the barricade because I knew where my parents were. And my mom does not see Ben whatsoever, like completely blank. And I'm running and waving, and she's like, "Where's Ben?"
That's so
And
funny.
I text her, "He just passed. He was in front of me," or something. And I could hear my dad as we were running away, like kind of explaining. But that was really funny. She felt really terrible about it. Mom, I know you listen to these. I want you to know that neither of us are upset about it. And we are just so happy that you decided to wake up early and come cheer for us. Then we saw them again at the finish line for the half. So the half was kind of their like uh trial run, I guess, for the marathon. They've never spectated a Run Disney race. It was the first time I've ever had to try and explain to anyone how it works and like where to go and when. And obviously, I didn't do the greatest job because I tried to explain to them why they needed to be on the bus before like a certain time, explaining road closure and stuff. But obviously, it didn't sink in or I didn't communicate it very well. We'll put more of it on me. I probably didn't communicate it very well. And so they didn't get up and get on a bus at like 4 or whatever. And they ended up, it was maybe like 6-ish, I think. And they were in the lobby trying to get like a minivan to Magic Kingdom to TTC, and they couldn't. Like there was just like there was lots of them, but like they could never get a driver assigned to them, and there was some other guy also in the lobby who had asked the front desk the night before, and they had told him that he would be able to get on a bus, and there was obviously no bus because of the timing. And so he was like not having it. And he ended up getting a minivan, and my parents tried to like offer to pay for part of it, but apparently he put up enough of a fuss that Disney paid for his minivan to the
Nice.
TTC. So my parents went to the TTC via minivan. Then they took the monorail back and met us at the finish. But that was a lesson learned for them for the coming full on how to spectate. But other than that, like we had a really good run. I felt good the entire time. I never felt like low energy. My feet started to hurt in the last like 5K ish. Which was a little like everything else felt good and it was a little disconcerting and I really just wanted to go. I was glad that we had no plans for park time or anything. Um
Yeah.
our plans were just to be chill. Ben's version of be chill, my version of be chill, not always the same. Originally, we had discussed maybe going back to Disney Springs and seeing a movie or something. We did not do that. We ended up going to the expo again because we hadn't taken any of our number photos on that first day. And so we went, there was nobody there. There was just standalone marathon people. And we went at like 2. So there was only
Yeah,
2
you
hours left. So most of the standalones had already picked up their bibs too. So
yeah.
it was pretty darn dead. We went to the merch building and we after we took our number photos, which I had us do our 48 first, and there were some other people there. It was very cute. We just like did a little extra perusal of what was there, and they had already started taking down the merch signs. So like if you ever see the vertical or horizontal signs above like the shirts that you're trying to get that have like marathon weekend or 5K or have all the different graphics, they sell those. When they run out of like stuff for those
They
carts, they
do.
take them down and they sell them. By the time we made it there, everything for Dopey had already sold. And even the literally, he said like minutes before we walked up, the last marathon weekend one that was in Dopey colors sold as well. But it ended up being fine because we got a very cute Goofy anniversary. Like it says marathon weekend and it says the Goofy 20th anniversary. It's got Goofy on it. And it was just really cute. So I bought that. And I also bought something else. What did I buy? Unknown, but I bought something else. And the reason I remember this is I was thinking, maybe that was when I got pass holder something. I don't know. Things were bought. I have no memory. But I had to go through regular checkout because there is no like thing to scan for these signs. Like for mobile,
Ah,
you have to go through regular checkout.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So then we went and we went back to the expo building with the sign. So I'm carrying around this giant sign under my arm, trying to make sure I don't hit anybody. It's windy, so it's blowing, trying to take me off like a kite. And we went and saw Jeff, and I got Jeff to sign my sign. So that's pretty epic. He was also like, I had a lot of people asking me where I got it. I think not a lot of people know that you can get those. And even Jeff asked where I got it. I was like, oh, you just like go to the merch building and, they got a pile of them now.
Yeah,
And so,
they
yeah,
do.
we talked to him for a little bit. Um, he signed it, gave us a little pep talk. And yeah, he was very nice. Then we decided we were going to get in line to do the compression boots. But by the time we literally waited in line until we were 2 from the front, like we were sitting in the chairs at the booth waiting to be the next people to get into them and realized that it is like 2:15. And we're like, "Oh shoot. We have a 3 p.m. dinner reservation in Disney Springs.
Ooh,
We're screwed." And we were talking to people and we're like, "Well, lucky you," to the people behind us, because we got to go because we're not going to make our dinner reservation. And my parents were meeting us for dinner. So we beelined it. They were being super strict at Maria and Enzo's about not taking
yeah.
any walk-ups. It was only not runner reservations. I'm sure a lot of the reservations were runners, but only reservations that day. My parents got there on time, and I asked them, I was like, hey, can you talk to the host and see, like, we're running late, see if either we can move our reservation to later outside the grace period because we're not going to make it, or like, can they hold it or whatever. If not, like, if they say no, or if I need to call, like, I will call and talk to them about it. Luckily, they did hold our reservation. It was empty in the restaurant when they seated us around like 3:30, 3:45. And so I don't know, like, I imagine it's like the beginning of the shift. They don't have as many waiters and waitresses working, like, that might be why, but my mom was really shocked. She was like, "Why aren't they taking people? This place is empty."
I think, at least last time I ate there, I think that sometimes they like charity groups will do big dinners that
Oh.
day, and I think maybe that's where like in like some of the private rooms, so like
Mm,
I think that's where some of the capacity has gone.
interesting.
Um,
But it was
but
delicious. We got 2 my mom and Ben got chicken parm, and my dad and I both got the, bolognese. Bolognese? I always doubt which way you're supposed to say it. And it was really good, and I still couldn't eat it all. Like, I felt great that night. We also had Caesar salad, but
oh, their
I
Caesar's
took a
good.
little bit of the pasta home and, like, ate it later. And then, yeah, we basically Ben was worried about it being cold for the marathon, so we went to Under Armour and Uniqlo to see if we could get any, like, long sleeve, because Ben didn't pack anything long sleeve. And we thought about it, and then we were looking at the weather, and he was like, I think I'll be okay." And then it was cold again. Like, the weather kept changing, and it ended up being cold again. I think there was a little bit of regret. We ended up wearing like, we had full throwaway outfits for that, but I digress, because we're gonna cover that next week.
Indeed. So yeah, with the rest of my day, I played a little bus roulette of like if the expo bus comes first or the DAC bus comes first. I actually had breakfast. It was like an avocado like egg bowl at
Oh my
Riverside.
gosh, it's so good.
So good.
We
A
had
lot
that.
of food
I don't know what day,
too.
but we had that.
A lot of food. Went to the expo first, and I so going into this, I kind of had not felt like super fantastic during like not even during the half because by the second half of the half I was fine. But kind of like, okay, so here's my ritual. I go get taped. The line is super short to get taped because I think I was there in the first hour that the expo was open. Then I go over because there were two different boot things. There was Therabody and then there was a different company. And I went to the one that was closer to where the shirt pickup was. Get in line, sit right down for the boots. Sit in the boots for a while. I'm like, well, what else do I do? My trifecta is talking to Jeff. And so I go and talk to Jeff again. And I just tell him, like, well, I've talked to you already this weekend. And well, we talked about this. My ritual involves if I'm trying to do a PR, it involves talking to you.
Mhm.
That's part of it, Jeff. And I had actually had him sign my bibs
Yep.
prior to this, which I forgot about briefly. So I have Jeff Galloway sign bibs. Woohoo. So I just chat with him. And then I'm like, all right, let's rock and roll. He's like, just he's like, you looking for any advice? I'm like, no, I think I'm pretty good. I know I want to start out a little conservatively and then go for it. Or, kind of go for it and see what I can do out there. And left the expo, went to DAC, did a safari. I believe that I had a really good safari that day. This is my first time seeing the lions. Um,
I saw the lion.
the new lions, I should
Oh,
say.
ours were
Uh,
awake.
yes,
Wild. They're normally asleep if you haven't ridden the safari.
yes. So they're younger. They're about, I think, 2-ish years old. And they were super cute. It was kind of around, must have been closer to a feeding time ish.
Mhm.
And then, so it was, the hippos are kind of out. It was great. We had just had a fantastic safari. Love a good safari moment. And after that, departed. I had a 2:45 dinner at Terralina. So got that. Got my chicken parm. Got a Caesar salad. All things kind of coming together.
Mhm.
In terms of my normal patterns and whatnot of how I get prepped. I did not make it to the Rise and Run meetup because of aforementioned 2:45 dinner,
Mhm.
but was in bed. I think I was in bed before 6. I think I fell asleep around like 6:20, 6:30. But uh, every single day I made sure that and pretty much like after I showered, uh, after the race, I had my stuff laid out for the next day. So, at that point, I had done everything. I had actually put the water in my vest because I knew it was gonna be chilly the next morning, and I was like, maybe some, like, like, room temperature water is gonna feel good.
Yeah, I poured unrefrigerated water into my vest.
Yeah, because I didn't wanna have to fuss with that in the morning when I knew, and I actually got my tape done of my back where my bra was gonna be because
Mhm.
I could see it better. I got that done before I even went to bed. I didn't do my feet until the next morning, but, I think all things considered with, I talked to Jeff Galloway about, I do my little pre-PR ritual, talk to Jeff, get things all set out. I think that's a good way to cap off this episode.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk again next week and tell them all about the marathon.
Yeah.
Also, post-Dopey shenanigans, like, let's be real.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We've also started a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured on a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment that you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or via our email. We've recently started a Facebook page called Stride Sisters Podcast, and you can also reach out to us there. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.